The story kicks off in a giant city, with the sun rising in the background. We see a hair salon. A news report on the TV says the government is urging citizens to take shelter and maintain order for their own safety. Our young man is getting a haircut, and the barber chimes in that it's all a load of bull. The barber tells him to stop fidgeting. Stares off into the distance with a focused gaze. In the sky, a massive ship carrying another city on top of it appears, heralding the arrival of monsters. Our guy then looks up as he hears the announcement. He then says that it's all about to end, leaving the barber completely confused. The barber thinks it's some kind of joke and that the hunters will be able to handle the situation. He continues, saying he's never even seen a monster and asks what they're like while snipping away at our boy's hair. The NPC then expresses his wish to meet one of these creatures at least once in his life. Suddenly, the scissor professional's body is pierced by a blue beam of light. Blood goes flying everywhere, and the poor man's head is sliced clean in two. And it wasn't just the barber's head, the entire city was sliced in half. The monster that took out the barber wields two giant, bloody scissors as weapons. We get a close-up of the creature's wounded arm. She's a woman with white hair and a bizarre look, with spines on her back and using scissors for legs. The creature licks her weapon and sarcastically apologizes for accidentally hitting an extra. She leans over the barber's body and asks if he'd forgive her for messing up the cut. The monster woman then notices there's another client, and is surprised she didn't see him before. The villainess approaches our protagonist and asks if he's scared or if he wants a trim, too. Our boy grits his teeth in rage, but it's not because of the monster. He screams in despair that his hair has been ruined, and that he looks awful now. The creature is confused by his reaction and offers to finish his haircut. She promises that this time she'll be more careful not to mess up the cut and hurt him. Our young man seems to be in trouble as his body starts glitching like a computer bug. He screams his system's name as his body continues to glitch out. Suddenly, a small holographic girl appears and complains, saying she's warned him about this several times. A strange red energy begins to manifest from our protagonist's arm. The energy materializes and our young man's hand transforms into something bizarre. With that, he summons a sword, and the system tells him to focus on the target. Then our MC unleashes a strike with his blade at the creature. The creature doesn't even have time to react as the attack hits her dead. In her final moments, the monster woman is in shock, unable to understand how she was defeated. After the attack, our boy covers his face, frustrated that he's now bold. At that moment, the villainess is completely obliterated into a shower of particles, with red mist flying everywhere. Then he prepares to remove the hood again. Our young man reveals that he hit her on purpose, and it wasn't an accident like what she did to the barber. Suddenly, the little assistant slaps him across the face, yelling at him to stop showing off. She continues her lecture, demanding that he call her by her full name and with respect. RMC ignores her and replies with sarcasm, making his little companion even more irritated. Introduces himself as Li Fan, a D-rank hunter. It's explained to us that hunters are a group of people who fight against these monsters. The little girl then tells our protagonist to quickly absorb the power of the creature he defeated. He then plunges his sword into the monster's remains. The assistant absorbs the powers of enemies to upgrade his weapons. With the newly acquired power, our MC's ruined hair starts to grow back to normal. He looks at a holographic screen and complains that he has no more skills to upgrade. Unlike others, he doesn't want to conquer this world. Our boy then reveals that 5 long years have passed since he arrived. His only wish is to complete his missions and return home to his family. Suddenly, the memory of a shattering picture frame flashes forcefully into his mind. It's a sad memory of his sister being taken away from him while he screamed in desperation. Back in the present, our protagonist's gaze fills with even more determination. He swears to himself that he will find his sister, no matter what. The little assistant calls his name, trying to bring him back to reality. She warns him that he's already absorbed almost all the energy from the fallen monster on the ground. Then, our young man pulls his sword from the creature's body, which is now completely dried up. Li Fan asks his partner how many more monsters he needs to defeat to go home. The assistant shows a screen and says he has killed 9,995 monsters, and there are only 5 left. Our protagonist gives a smile of relief and repeats to himself that only the last 5 remain. Looking over the destroyed city with more creatures in the distance, he says he can finally leave this world. An urgent news report announces that the monsters have changed their route towards City A. He then makes a small makeshift gravestone for the barber, whom he nicknamed Tony. Our MC says a brief prayer for the NPC, and soon after, he and his partner decide to leave. With a smile on his face, our boy runs excitedly through the city, shouting that it's time to go home. On the streets, chaos reigns as people run in desperation. The bizarre creature then fires several red beams of light from its body in all directions. These rays hit the fleeing civilians, taking them down one by one without mercy. Amidst the rubble, 2 men hide while watching the destruction. One of the guys cries in a panic, yelling that this time they're all goners. He says that even the city's guardians have been defeated. But his friend comforts him, telling him not to lose faith because there's still hope. The young man then reveals that City A is protected by 3 very powerful elite hunters. He says the last one is a legend, and at that moment, a bolt of lightning strikes the monster. The attack generates a massive electrical discharge that can be seen from afar. From the smoke, a new hunter emerges, covered in lightning and wearing a very arrogant smile. The newcomer faces the enemies and counts that there are exactly 5 monsters. With a smug grin, he says his hunter rank is going to skyrocket today. Suddenly, the blonde hero's expression changes. The tentacle monster that has legs lifts one of them and prepares to crush the blonde hero. With a roar of fury, the creature slams its foot down hard. The monster, which seems to have some intelligence, wonders if it hit him. But the monster hit nothing but the ground, creating a crater. Suddenly, a voice from the sky yells that the attack was way too slow to hit him. At that moment, the yellow-haired hunter charges forward at high speed, covered in golden lightning. He transforms into a bolt of lightning and lunges at the creature. The blow hits the tentacle monster dead on, giving it no chance to defend itself. The impact generates a large explosion of smoke that covers the entire battlefield. Seeing this, the survivors celebrate, believing the threat has finally been defeated. One NPC then brags about buying the hero's trading card before he became famous. He then shows his friend the card of the powerful electric hunter, Wang Lei. The guy takes the opportunity to try and sell the item to his friend for an outrageous price. Suddenly, one of the other monsters impales the NPC without any mercy. The bizarre creature finishes off the guy, and his friend screams in despair for everyone to run. The creature then picks up the book from the ground and examines it with curiosity, wondering what it is. Then, the 2 monsters join together and look at the hunter in the distance with contempt, calling him an insect. The blonde hero is furious that they did that right in front of him and grits his teeth in rage. With that, his electrical energy increases so much that he starts to levitate. At maximum power, he creates a blue sphere of energy and yells that what they did is unforgivable. The hunter summons a bluish energy sphere in his fist. The attack hits one of the creatures, but instead of exploding, the energy seems to be contained by something. Wang Lei is shocked to see that his strongest attack did no damage to the enemy. Suddenly, a new monster appears behind him with its mouth open, charging up an energy blast. The red creature then fires a powerful energy beam toward the blonde hero. To defend himself, the hero creates a barrier of lightning in front of him to try and block the attack. But the beam's power is so strong that it throws him backward. Seizing the opportunity, the monsters also advance to attack the hunter. The hero is then attacked from all sides by the creature's tentacles. Even on the ground, he manages to dodge the attacks. He manages to block one of the blows and complains irritably, asking if all these monsters came from the same freaky family. At a disadvantage, the hunter manages to defend himself from the monster's various tentacle attacks. With a confident smile, he comes up with a plan to take out the weakest enemy first. With that, he unleashes a large burst of lightning to push back the tentacles. The powerful electrical discharge pushes them back a bit. He then seizes the chance and charges toward the monster covered in bandages. Monster stands firm in its strange form. The creature then begins to unravel its bandages. The bandages wrap around the hero's body, completely immobilizing him in mid-air. He says that mere bandages aren't enough to hold him. He then tries to use all his power to break free, but the bandages seem to resist the electricity. At that moment, he realizes in shock that all his electricity is being absorbed by the bandages. The blonde hero can't believe it and wonders how a monster could have such an ability. The bandages pull him tighter, and he starts to scream in pain as his energy is drained. He continues to scream desperately as not only his power but also his physical strength is being sucked away. Completely weakened, he is dragged by the bandages toward the other monsters. Defeated, the blonde hero laments that his life as a hunter barely started and it's already about to end. The civilians also lose hope, seeing that not even Wang Lei was a match for the creatures. But suddenly, everyone's salvation appears our boy. Arriving on a little scooter, our boy comments that he wasn't in a rush, but his assistant complains that he was stopping at red lights. The little assistant looks at the monsters and says, with a smile, that they look delicious. The electric hunter then yells for the newcomer to get out of there quickly because it's too dangerous. One of the creatures ignores the warning and charges at high speed toward our young man. The blonde hero keeps yelling that the monster will finish him off if he doesn't run right now. Our MC tells him not to worry, and at that moment his arm begins to glow. The tentacle creature then sees the reflection of something bizarre in its eye and freezes in fear. With that, a massive red hand grabs the monster's head with absurd force. The attack crushes the creature's head, giving it no chance to defend itself or escape. Then, the giant hand slams the defeated monster's body to the ground with great force. The other monsters and the blonde hero are completely shocked by what they just witnessed. He wonders how this guy is so strong and if he could be an S-rank hunter he's never seen before. The bandage monster then asks in fear who that man is. Our MC calmly introduces himself as the Hunter Lee fan, revealing his identity. The confused creature looks for his name in its book, but can't find anything registered. With a smile, he asks if there's a possibility that he's just a D rank hunter. Hearing this, the blonde hero yells furiously, wondering how a D rank could be so strong. One of the monsters then orders the others to finish off our protagonist once and for all. With that, the creatures attack our boy simultaneously. Asks his assistant if she's ready, and she replies, "Obviously." At that moment, the red energy in his arm begins to transform. The energy then materializes into a bizarre sword made of bone with an eye on the hilt. With his new weapon, he easily slices through the tentacles coming at him. Seeing this, the three-eyed monster becomes alert. The creature begins to inflate its body, growing even larger. Our boy slams both of his hands on the ground. The villain then opens its giant mouth and starts charging a huge sphere of blue energy. To defend against the attack, our boy raises a stone wall. The powerful energy attack hits the barrier head on but fails to break through. With the attack blocked, our boy prepares for a high-speed counterattack. The giant creature sees the wall shatter and is surprised by his defense. Our MC then draws his blade again and leaps for the counterattack. And with great style, he gathers energy in mid-air to slice the monster. He then lands a fatal blow to the creature's head and yells, 9,997. After defeating the enemy, he turns to the other two monsters, who look at him in fear. Our young man then tells them to get ready, because they're next on his list. With that, he quickly advances toward one of the creatures. His sword strikes the enemy but seems unable to pierce its tough skin. Our boy is shocked to realize his attack didn't work as he expected. Monster then mocks him, saying his broken sword can't hurt its friend. His partner then replies that if he called her broken, she won't be a sword anymore. At that moment, as if it were Green Lantern's ring, transforms into a giant hammer. Swinging the flesh hammer, our young man charges forward to crush the monsters. He lands a direct hit on both creatures at once. The impact of the blow kicks up a massive cloud of dust. Our MC complains that his clothes got dirty, and his partner says it was his fault. The electric hunter watches and says it's impossible to believe what he's seeing. He then yells that hunters are only supposed to have one ability and asks how our young man has so many. Our boy touches his face, not really in the mood to answer. With a smile, he reveals that he devours the abilities of all the monsters he defeats. The electric hunter is left on the ground, completely shocked by the revelation and wonders if such a bizarre ability can even exist. Our young man then points his weapon at the last standing monster and warns him that he's next. But the blonde hero yells for him to wait a moment, and hearing the call, our boy turns to see what he wants. The guy warns our young man to be very careful with the enemy because the bandage monster managed to absorb all of his electricity. Our MC comments that the ability is similar to his partner's, and she says hers is far superior, but she feels a familiar sensation coming from the creature. At that moment, the bandage creature unleashes a sinister purple aura. With a confident smile, our protagonist says he doesn't care about the enemy's power. He then says that if he defeats this monster, he can go back to his world. Walks toward his goal. He leaps at super high speed toward the creature. The bandage monster reacts quickly to the surprise attack and extends several of its wrappings to try and grab our young man in the air. The bandages move like tentacles toward him in the air, and his partner yells for him to be careful with that attack. But our protagonist is not intimidated by the enemy's wrappings and, with a single move, he slices through all the bandages mid-air. He then understands the enemy's weakness. Our young man says he just needs to avoid being touched by the bandages to win. Creature then concentrates purple lightning in its hands. With that, the creature fires a beam of purple energy, forcing our boy to dodge. The attack grazes him, leaving a small cut on his face. His partner then warns him that he almost got taken out, and our boy says it was just a careless mistake. The electric hero then yells in shock that the creature not only absorbs but also uses the stolen powers. Our young man then understands the situation and realizes he'll need to be even faster to win. At that moment, like Ida from My Hero Academia, our boy sprouts turbines on his calves for speed. With his new power, he charges forward with his sword at an absurd velocity. The bandage creature readies itself and begins to manipulate several purple lightning bolts in its hands. Our boy doesn't care and just increases the propulsion from his turbines. The propulsion is so strong it looks like he's taking off like a rocket. He disperses the propulsion and unleashes a strike with his blade. Tremendous force. Blade gets close to the creature. However, our boy is surprised by something that happens. With absurd strength, the creature manages to stop our young man's sword. Our MC is surprised by the defense and wonders how the enemy managed to do that. The monster grabs his legs where the thrusters are. With that, the energy from the thrusters begins to transfer to the creature. His partner then yells that the jet's power is being absorbed. The monster then raises its hand and begins to activate another ability. With the stolen power, the creature creates its own thrusters in the palm of its hand. Then, the creature uses the thrusters in its hand to deliver a Saitama-level slap to our boy. And just as the super slap was about to hit him, our boy protects himself with another wall. After the slap has no effect on the shield, the creature begins to absorb the shield ability as well. His partner yells that the armor ability has also been absorbed and tells them to run. But it's too late, and our young man is being crushed. He tries to resist with all his might, and his clothes start to tear from the pressure. With the thruster activated, the creature smashes the iron shield on the ground, but our boy manages to save himself. Our MC admits that the enemy is stronger than he thought. The blonde hero on the ground says the enemy is too strong and asks our young man to call an S-rank hunter for help. But our boy refuses, saying this monster is his ticket home, and he's not handing it over to anyone. He then faces the creature, which is now using the shield ability it absorbed from him. We see in detail how the creature will use the shield as an iron shell. With a confident look, our MC says that now he knows how to defeat this enemy. Our young man walks toward his opponent and explains that it absorbs power, but doesn't seem to have much intelligence. The creature creates an iron gauntlet to attack our boy. The protagonist comments that the creature can't store energy and has to use it all at once. Seeing his confidence, the electric hunter panics and yells for our boy to be careful. Ignoring the blonde guy, our boy dodges the monster's blow. Then our MC says that by using this weak point, he can win, and a green energy appears on his arm. The green energy manifests in the form of several thorns and vines. The vines then begin to wrap around the monster. The monster then starts absorbing our boy's vines. Because it can't control its powers, the creature starts creating vines uncontrollably. He then sees the perfect opportunity and yells that now is the time to attack. His flesh sword starts to erupt in flames. The blade comes covered in intense fire. Using the impulse from the thrusters, our boy then leaps toward the creature with his flaming sword. The blow pierces through the enemy's defense. The powerful strike slices the creature in two. A blue screen appears in front of our young man. The count shows that he's reached 9,999.5. He gets furious and asks what that broken number on the screen means. Meanwhile, the defeated monster's body begins to catch fire. Suddenly, our boy is shocked as he stares at the creature. The flames on the enemy's body begin to behave in a bizarre way. Slowly, the monster's remains start to move strangely. He looks at it in disbelief and wonders what the heck is happening. The ish then transform and reveal a girl with white hair and horns, leaving our young man completely stunned. Our protagonist screams in anger and unleashes an ice power. Several ice shards fly toward the girl. The ice quickly extinguishes the flames that were surrounding the girl. From the frozen ashes, the beautiful girl with white hair and horns is unconscious. Our boy, in a gentlemanly move, takes off his jacket. He then runs to the girl and holds her, asking why his sister is here. In chibi form, says she has no idea. Then she questions if he's sure that's really his sister. His companion reminds him that she was born from the belly of a terrible monster. Our MC remembers his real sister and denies that this girl is her. He immediately accepts this as the truth. Believing it to be an illusion, our young man draws his flesh sword. He stands over the girl and apologizes, saying he needs 10,000 points. Gets dangerously close to the girl's beautiful face. But just as he's about to strike, the girl slowly opens her eyes. Our young man is confused and wonders why she woke up right now. With her eyes open, the girl stares at our young man. And suddenly, in her purple eyes, we see our boy's silhouette. Unexpected reaction leaves our protagonist completely paralyzed. Suddenly, the girl gets up and hugs our young man, leaving him confused. But he reacts unhappily and tries to push the girl away. He forcefully pushes the girl away with his hand. He then yells at her not to get close and says he won't be fooled. He points the blade at her chest, makes a small cut on her chest. However, she does something that surprises our boy. Bull's blade, she begins to stab herself. Slowly, she lets go of the sword and begins to extend her hand toward him. She touches our boy's face and calls him brother in a weak voice. Hearing that, our protagonist is left completely speechless and in total shock. The girl then faints from her wound. Our young man catches her and yells, asking if she's crazy because she could die from that. His partner says it would be better if she did pass on so he could go home, and that she's just a monster. Despite the warning, our young man continues to hold the girl in his arms. His bizarre arm then touches her shoulder. He remembers the girl calling him brother while he holds her. Our protagonist yells and makes a sudden decision. Arm begins to glow with a green energy. With that, the wound on the girl's body begins to heal rapidly. His partner questions him about wanting to go home, and he says he won't attack someone with his sister's face. He continues to look at the unconscious girl in his arms. He picks her up and says he'll keep her close to get information. When he turns to leave, someone calls out for him to wait. It's the electric hunter, who introduces himself as Wang Lei, a C-rank hunter, and says he was shocked by the fight. The blonde hunter then looks at him with a very determined gaze. The blonde guy bows and begs our young man to accept him as his disciple. But our young man refuses on the spot, saying he doesn't want to. The blonde guy is shocked and asks why, but our young man says it's a hassle and that he's leaving this world soon anyway. The answer leaves the blonde hunter speechless, just letting out an awkward laugh. Our young man then asks why he's still following him, and the guy says that, coincidentally, this is also the way to his home. They arrive in an apartment hallway, and believe it or not, the blonde hunter lives right next door. With a smile, the blonde guy calls him master and says he wasn't lying and that they're really neighbors. But our young man cuts him off immediately and tells him never to call him master again. Our protagonist then grabs the doorknob. He goes through the door and tries to close it with his foot. But the blonde hunter stops the door and begs our boy to let him in. Losing his patience, our young man slams the door in the guy's face. Our boy is still holding her in his arms. He places the girl on the sofa while the blonde guy is still yelling from outside. His partner says the guy is pretty persistent, and our MC replies that he doesn't want to get involved with the locals. He then looks at the girl on the sofa and says he just wants to know where she came from. With his bloody boots, our boy leaves a trail of dirt all over the floor. Feeling all dirty, he decides to take a shower to clean up. His companion then questions him about what would happen if the girl woke up during his shower. Hearing that, our young man stops and thinks, realizing that could be a big problem. Having an idea, our young man uses his bizarre power to tie the girl to the sofa to make sure she doesn't run away. With the girl securely tied up, he says that should be enough to hold her for a while. Suddenly, the girl opens her eyes. Without noticing she's awake, our boy is already undressed. He then gets into the bathtub to wash up. Relaxing in the hot water, he comments on how a bath is the most relaxing thing ever. He then asks his partner what she would do if he managed to return to his world. Floating in the water, the little one replies that she would simply look for a new host. That answer makes our young man thoughtful, and he questions what her purpose is as a system. His companion replies that it's just boredom, but our MC tells her to forget about it. Suddenly, a silhouette appears at the bathroom door, surprising our protagonist. The girl broke the glass door to get in, and our young man yells that it was a sliding door. His partner then warns him that his attention shouldn't be on the broken door. Our young man is confused and asks how she escaped since he had tied her up. In a cute scene, she thinks about how she simply burst out of the flesh cocoon to free herself. He wonders how he knew what she did just from her expression. She ignores everything and starts walking toward our boy. Our protagonist complains that monsters are not reliable at all. They then stare at each other in silence inside the bathroom. The girl launches herself forward. She then jumps into the bathtub with him, looking super happy. Our MC questions if it's a trap, and his partner says it could be imprinting. His companion explains that it's like baby birds who see the first person as their mother. With that, she says that our young man has become her dad, leaving our boy completely surprised. He pushes her away and yells at her not to forget her identity, because she's a monster. Pushed away, the girl shows a sad expression at the rejection. But upon looking at her body, our protagonist blushes completely. Our boy quickly decides to act. He forcefully pushes the girl's head under the water. Submerged, her wide eyes suggest she must have seen something impressive. His companion questions why he doesn't just send her away, and our young man says it's better this way. Under the water, the girl continues to stare with wide eyes. The MC lets her up for air and asks for her name. Very confused. With a big smile on her face, the girl finally says her name is Alicia. The partner complains about the cold water, and our boy awkwardly asks them to wait a little longer, they'll be out soon. After the bath, our boy starts drying Alicia's hair with a hairdryer. He asks why she looks like his sister, and she gets confused by the question. Our boy then puts the hairdryer aside. His partner comments that Alicia doesn't seem very bright, and that he won't get any information out of her. Seeing that the girl is barely dressed, our MC decides to get something for her to wear. He then grabs one of his shirts and a pair of shorts and tosses them to her. Casually, Alicia starts to change right in front of our boy, who starts blushing. The girl then gets up from the bed after getting dressed. Now dressed, she turns around and shows off how the clothes look on her. Our boy blushes because the clothes fit her perfectly like a dress. He then touches her shoulder and says he'll take her to buy some clothes the next day. Suddenly, her stomach starts to rumble very loudly. Our MC then realizes it's time to eat and that Alicia needs to eat. He goes to the fridge to see what he has to make for dinner. Seeing he has plenty of meat, our young man starts to cook. Our boy starts frying up the food. With the table loaded with food, our young man says she can eat now and the girl drools. She picks up a single grain of rice to taste the food. Seeing that, our MC smiles and comments on how much she resembles his sister. But suddenly, his expression changes when he hears a very strange sound coming from the table. He turns and sees the girl eating the bowl. Yelling that she's not supposed to eat the bowl, our young man then snatches the bowl from her hand and asks if she has any common sense. Alicia then points to the pot and says she did it because she wasn't full yet. Our protagonist goes to the fridge, but to his surprise, it's completely empty. With a forced smile, he wonders when she managed to eat all the food. Scratching his head, he sighs since it's already too late and there's nowhere open to buy food. At that moment, we see the blonde neighbor in his apartment lifting weights. The blonde guy then stops training and walks toward his apartment door as he hears a noise. The guy then hears the doorbell ring and goes to see who's there. As soon as he opens the door, the blonde guy asks if our young man will accept him as his disciple, but our MC cuts him right off. Our MC ignores the guy and asks if he has any food because Alicia ate everything in the house. The blonde guy then offers a bunch of snacks, calling Alicia Lady Master, but our young man says she's nothing of the sort. With that, the girl sits on the sofa staring at the mountain of food. Even she devoured everything. Seeing that, our young man and the neighbor are in shock. But our MC yells at Alicia, telling her not to eat the snack wrappers. He grabs her, complaining about her eating habits, and his system says he's going soft on her. At that moment, our boy's stomach rumbles, since he still hasn't eaten anything because of the girl. The neighbor then offers to take them somewhere to eat, and our protagonist accepts. With that, they arrive in a very dark alley with 2 NPCs guarding the entrance to a building. The blonde guy greets the guards while our young man and Alicia follow close behind. One of the guards boasts that the place needs someone strong like him for protection. Then the guard opens the metal door so the group can enter the establishment. They then enter the place. Our MC comments that the place doesn't look like a restaurant, but the blonde guy tells him not to be fooled. Our MC's neighbor then opens a door and welcomes our boy and Alicia. Seeing what's inside, our boy and Alicia are completely surprised. The place was actually a giant underground club with lots of people having fun. They walk through the crowd, and the blonde guy explains that the owner is a very powerful hunter. Our young man then asks why he didn't help during the attack, but the guy says that hunters act whenever they feel like it. Sitting at the bar, our MC reflects on how the hunter organization is more complicated than it seems. Suddenly, they realize Alicia has disappeared and start looking for her in the crowd. Our young man then looks toward the dance floor and sees the girl being approached by a huge man. Groot grabs Alicia's arm and invites her for a drink with a really creepy smile on his face. The man then squeezes her arm harder and tells her to just come with him already. The NPC even comments that she dressed that way to get everyone's attention. Seeing what's happening, our boy quickly stands up. This reminds him of his sister being in danger, and he gets furious because the situation feels all too familiar. Alicia gives the man a serious look. The girl then uses both her hands and applies force to the man's huge fist. With immense strength, Alicia simply slams the man to the ground. Seeing Alicia's strength, the blonde guy is shocked and calls her Lady Master. Our MC then smiles and comments that his friend forgot how terrifying she was, despite her new appearance. Suddenly, another man slams his hand hard on the table. With that, the brute's friends show up and say they messed with the bald gang. Our young man is confused and comments that all the members of this so-called gang have hair. The men in fact all bald, just in various different ways. Our boy then provokes the man, asking if they're all just trash. The gang leader glares at our protagonist with eyes red with rage. The brute then yells for his goons to attack our young man all at once. Our MC then summons his weapon, and a red energy starts to emanate from his arm. This energy then materializes, forming a red staff in our boy's hand. With the weapon in hand, he walks slowly forward. He then strikes at the men. One of the goons is hit dead on by the powerful strike. With a single spinning move, our young man defeats all the gang members at once. We see the gang members on the floor, completely defeated and unconscious. Alicia excitedly celebrates our boy's victory, though he doesn't seem to care much about the praise. The blonde neighbor then scolds our young man for fighting, but our MC asks if he should have just stood there. The guy continues, explaining that if the owner finds out about the fight, they're toast. Suddenly, a mysterious voice chimes in, saying it's already too late for that. A giant, muscular man appears, introducing himself as the boss of the bald gang. The brute then pats the blonde guy's face and threatens him for messing with his gang. Our young man asks who the man is, and his friend explains that he's the chief of the gang's local division. Our boy then smiles and sarcastically asks if there are really that many bald people in the world to need multiple divisions. The gang boss then turns to our protagonist and glares at him. The man then says that if our young man kneels and apologizes, he might let him live. Defiant look, our MC asks what will happen if he refuses. The brute gives a sinister smile and mockingly repeats our boy's question. Furious with the answer, the gang boss charges forward to attack our young man. But suddenly, the man's punch stops in mid-air as a mysterious voice yells for him to stop. Suddenly, a woman in elegant dress appears. This is the owner of the place, a very beautiful woman with a pipe in her hand. She asks who is causing a disturbance in her territory, as everyone bows to her. The gang boss then greets her and says it's been a while. He then points to our young man and blames him for attacking his men first. At that moment, the woman turns and faces our protagonist. She slowly approaches and stands in front of our boy. She then asks our boy if what the brute said is true. The blonde neighbor steps in front and says his master doesn't know the rules of the place. The woman then recognizes him and asks since when he got a master, and the guy replies that it was recent. The gang boss approaches her and says he'll pay for the damages on one condition. The man then points to Alicia and says it's her fault and that she has to stay. Alicia is eating the food bowl, completely oblivious to the commotion. Even with all this going on, our boy's attention is still on Alicia's terrible table manners. The blonde guy tries to calm our young man down, but he ignores him and walks away without a word. Ignoring the gang boss and the woman, our boy walks off furiously. But to everyone's surprise, he goes over to Alicia and yells at her not to eat the bowls. The owner gets an irritated expression, wondering if our young man feels no tension at all. With that, the woman asks if he heard the brute's proposal, and our boy confirms that he did. The owner then lights her pipe and authoritatively tells him to hand over Alicia. Our protagonist then gives her a defiant look and asks what she'll do if he says no. The brute smiles and threatens our young man, saying he could finish him off at any moment. MC grabs the man's chin forcefully. He then lifts the giant off the ground with one hand and dares him to try something. The owner watches everything and gets annoyed that he dared to fight in front of her. Shrouded in smoke, she comments that her name doesn't seem to carry any weight anymore. The blonde friend panics and begs our boy to apologize before it's too late. Our young man then turns and calmly asks if that woman is really that big of a deal. His friend confirms that yes, she is, because she's a B-ranked night watcher and is ranked 108. The woman then blows smoke from her pipe. The smoke transforms into sharp projectiles that fly toward the two of them. One of the smoke projectiles speeds forward. The blonde neighbor yells for him to be careful, but our young man shows no concern. Instead of dodging, he just puts the brute's body in front of the attack. With the brute's body pierced, our boy just drops him to the ground. But her attack wasn't over. A smoke claw bursts out of the brute. The smoke claw shoots out of the brute and flies straight at our protagonist, who dodges it. The giant's lifeless boss body falls to the floor as the smoke spreads throughout the place. The woman then asks why he was so cruel to someone who should have been his ally. But she immediately tells him to shut his mouth and stop talking nonsense. At that moment, the woman blows on her pipe once more, releasing a large cloud of smoke. The smoke then transforms into several armored warriors. Faces the soldiers with a calm gaze, showing no fear. Leaping over them, he easily dodges their attacks. Aurora begins to emanate from his body. With that, our boy brings his hands together and concentrates a large amount of energy. He releases a powerful blast of wind that dissipates the soldiers and pushes everyone back. The gust is so strong it drags people back and sends skirts flying. Even the night watcher and her guards have trouble staying on their feet. The blonde friend is impressed by his master's power, while Alicia just keeps on eating. The watcher then comments that his wind ability is an excellent counter. However, she says that's not all she has and advances slowly. The woman yells that a B-rank watcher has more than just powers and attacks with a kick. Our young man smiles and prepares to take the hit, activating his iron skin. The night watcher's eyes go wide when she sees her attack did nothing. Our protagonist catches her leg, his hardening ability activated. He then blushes a little for holding her leg up too high. Our boy then asks if she really intends to stay in that position for much longer. Her face red with embarrassment, the woman curses at him and yanks her leg back. Full of rage, she yells for him to go to hell and uses a blade to slash at his neck. However, he defends against the blade, but she is relentless and leaps for another attack. With a furious expression, she comes down with all her strength to crush him. Using his hardening ability, easily defends against the blow. The impact of the blow generates an explosion of smoke. Our boy activates another ability, chains. The energy chains wrap around the woman's body, leaving her completely immobilized. At that moment, the woman's guards prepare to help, but she stops them from moving. Defeated, the woman asks who he is and what his rank is. Smiles and replies that his name is Li Fan, and he's just a simple D rank. The night watcher is shocked and wonders if the government's ranking system is broken. But suddenly, the brute gets up, drawing their attention. Our young man smiles and faces him as the giant. Our boy is confused to see the enemy's body begin to glow. The giant's fist clenches and he punches our boy. The blow lands square in our boy's stomach. Brute transforms into a monster resembling the abomination from the Incredible Hulk. The monster's punch hits him dead on and causes a huge shockwave. Seeing this, the blonde friend becomes enraged and yells that no one can hurt his master. He then charges the giant with everything he's got and lands a kick to its face. But the monster doesn't even flinch. Like the abomination, its super resistance means it doesn't feel the attack. Our MC's friend is completely shocked by the enemy's strength. The creature grabs the young man's leg with absurd force. With its overwhelming power, the abomination, like creature, grabs his friend by the leg. And just like the Hulk did with Loki, the creature starts slamming the boy against the floor. Watching from a distance, a guard asks if he was hiding his power. The night watcher corrects him and says the brute is not the same as before. At that moment, the giant roars, and its body begins to grow even more, to the point that its skin starts to tear. Seeing what was once the abomination now an out-of-control armored titan, the civilians panic. The monster then decides to ignore the blonde guy and grabs an NPC. It picks up the man and starts biting him. Now, everyone bitten by the armored titan turns into a kind of zombie controlled by it. The guard wonders how a human turned into a monster, but the watcher says he's being controlled. The woman then realizes that if he's being controlled by someone, it means the real enemy is hiding among the crowd. A zombie woman tries to attack our boy, who's stuck inside the wall. Suddenly, the woman starts being choked by someone. Alicia is choking the creature furiously, telling it not to try and hurt her brother. Our young man smiles and says she should just call him by his name. Our boy then pats her on the head and tells her to leave the rest to him. She blushes a little. Alicia then pushes the possessed woman away. With that, the controlled woman charges at our MC with everything she's got. Our young man's hand glows and he uses his vines while his assistant says he only calls her out to fight. Then green energy vines restrain the woman. The Night Watcher asks why he didn't finish her off, and our MC says she's just a victim. He then extends his hand and prepares to use his ability on everyone. With that, the vines spread out and capture the monsters. The guards are shocked by our young man's power, and the Watcher wonders how he has two powers. The green vines squeeze the monster's body tightly, but the monster manages to break free of them. Our MC then turns to the monster and activates his hardening ability, saying he almost forgot about him. Our boy lands a punch square on the creature's face. He then recovers from the attack and says that the earlier punch actually hurt. Our boy then uses another ocular ability. With his eye power, our young man notices what look like blue energy threads wrapped around the creature. Using his special vision, he begins to scan the area in search of the real enemy. His ability then reveals the true culprit, who was having fun amongst the zombies. Then says, "Finally found you." Then he prepares to jump. After an impressive leap, our boy charges over the crowd with his blade. He then lands with a crash, his weapon creating a small crater in the floor. The attack not only hit the floor but also landed squarely on the real enemy's face. However, as if ejecting from a jet, the creature escapes from the body it was using as a host. At that moment, the enemy's human form dissolves, revealing it to be a spider monster. The creature then wonders how our MC was able to see through its disguise. Our young man points to his eye and says confidently that nothing can hide from him. Seeing this, the monster gets enraged, its expressions contorting bizarrely, and starts activating its ability. With an energy attack, the creature seals the main door, trapping everyone inside. Immediately after, the blue energy spreads and begins to envelop the civilians. The creature then begins to control everyone as if they were mere puppets. The monster's power begins to turn people into zombies. Now our boy finds himself surrounded by a horde of zombies. Our MC then smiles and asks if using hostages is what the monster calls a direct confrontation. With that, the creature becomes enraged and dares him to finish off all the innocent people it transformed. Our young man gets annoyed and says that using normal people as shields is a really cheap trick. Suddenly, he notices a strange movement and recognizes the technique being used. The Night Watcher then appears and uses a shadow power to capture the zombies and protect the civilians. Seeing this, our boy is surprised. He didn't expect her to show up and help. But the woman tells him not to get the wrong idea. She just doesn't like disturbances in her establishment. At that moment, she spits out a smoke dart and says that not even monsters can cause trouble here. With that, the small smoke arrow flies at high speed toward the enemy. The dart hits the creature square in the chest, causing a large wound on the villain. From afar, the blonde friend gets excited to see the two of them working together and starts cheering. Injured, the monster says its mission is already complete, and it doesn't need to risk its life anymore. The creature then roars and orders its zombies to attack and not let anyone follow it. With that, the horde of zombies charges at them with everything they've got. The Watcher then gets annoyed and says with determination that the monster won't get away. She then leaps forward in her beautiful high heels. The zombies, she gets ready. She starts firing her smoke darts. Seeing this, the blonde friend gets hyped and says this is her special technique while recording her. The creature tries to flee but is surprised by the projectiles coming its way. But our MC gets in front and with his blade, cuts the Night Watcher's darts. At this, the blonde friend and her guards are left completely dumbfounded by our boy's action. The Night Watcher then questions him, asking if he's on the monster's side. He then says that no one is going to stop him from going home. The woman is confused and wonders what he meant by going home. Alicia, who had just been eating without a care for the battle, now has her attention on our boy. Taking advantage of the distraction, the monster tries to crawl away without anyone seeing it. But our MC is faster, and with a swift move, he grabs the creature's head. Our young man then lifts the monster and says he just needs to finish it off to be able to go back. However, before he can eliminate the creature, Alicia appears beside him and slurps the creature up like a noodle. The Night Watcher, in her cute chibi version, is also left confused about what's happening. And with that, our boy furiously screams at his sister, telling her to spit that monster back out. He grabs her by the throat to keep her from swallowing, forcing her to cough it up. Being spit out, the creature bolts as fast as it can. The Night Warden then orders her guards to go after them. Her assistant then comments that he was lucky to find the other enemy and asks how long it would take to find another one. The little companion says it would be way easier to just take care of the so-called sister to complete the mission. After her suggestion, our MC tightens his grip on her neck just a little. But he switches from her neck to her collar and furiously blames her, saying he was just one monster away from going home. But with a sad look, she says he couldn't do that. Just then, the blonde neighbor shows up and tells our MC not to get so worked up, saying she didn't mean any harm. Our boy is still fuming and asks if she has any idea how important that monster was to him. He then says that if he finishes her off right now, he can return to his original world. After those words, he makes it so Kali Sestar Tower FID. Suddenly, an emergency announcement echoes throughout the city about a nearby spatial disturbance. His little companion then remarks that the Mucksters are appearing more frequently. The Night Warden approaches and says, it seems like he really wants to take down that monster. She proposes a deal to our MC. He then questions what she means. She says she can give him the monster's location if he works as her security for 1 month. The blonde friend whispers that working there would be the same as becoming her lackey. The assistant says he should just finish the woman off instead of wasting time. With a serious expression, our young man thinks. As he gently holds her by the collar, she calls him brother. He grinds his teeth in anger and says this is all her fault. Annoyed, he lets her go and says he never wants to see her again. He asks if she really knows the monster's location, and the woman confirms. The little assistant says she thought he'd never work for someone else. He replies that he doesn't care, because he'll soon complete the mission and return to his world. With a smile, the woman says she likes straightforward men, and they seal the deal. The Night Warden then tells him to follow her to show him where his target is. The sad so-called sister watches them leave as she's left behind. We see the sad expression of being left behind on her face. Just then, the blonde neighbor calls her master, and tries to say something to her. Then, with a determined look, he shouts that they should also go after the two of them. As they walk, she says she's curious, so she asks why such a strong guy doesn't have a name in the Hunters Association. The MC questions if the ranking is really that important, and she agrees. However, she changes her mind, saying someone with his level of power doesn't need to care about rankings. She then questions if it's okay to let the others keep following them. But our boy says he doesn't care. The woman starts to laugh, amused by his lack of concern. She asks if the MC isn't afraid of being led into a trap. He replies that he isn't and crosses his arms without showing any worry. Because if it's an ambush, the boy says he'll just take her out, as he points his blade at her neck. She then starts to laugh, but it's a nervous laugh. She then assures him that she's a trustworthy businesswoman. At that moment, they arrive at a door. The woman then blows smoke from her pipe. The smoke she blows out transforms into a key. This key made of smoke heads towards the lock and opens the door. The passage opens, revealing a completely white room. She tells him to go on ahead. Outside, the other companions continue to follow them in secret. The MC says the bar has a lot of secrets, but she replies that it's normal for a B-rank hunter. He then tells her to stop messing around and just say where the Q-Fu will appear. The woman says she's trying to get in touch with it. The merchant then uses a panel to initiate communication. She quickly types some commands on the device's keyboard. With that, a data portal starts to open in front of them. From the portal emerges a hologram of a man with some very peculiar hair. The hologram asks why the lady is contacting him, and she says there was trouble at the bar. The blonde kid recognizes the voice as that of the S-rank hunter Yimbo. Upon hearing about the trouble, the man in the hologram gets an annoyed expression. The hologram finds the MC's presence strange. The man asks who the boy is, and she explains that he's her security and also a hunter. The merchant then asks to get straight to the point about the mission, as she needs to get back to her shop. The projection then begins to talk about the task they need to complete. He warns them to prepare, as the mission is dangerous, and the government has sent 2 A-rank hunters. Furthermore, he mentions that if necessary, an S-rank hunter will also be sent, which surprises the woman. She questions the reason for such a large mobilization for a simple Q-Fu invasion. The man in the hologram explains that this invasion is different, and they need to take it seriously. The projection extends its hand and begins to display information about the mission. He says the Q-Fu portal will open in a plaza, and they need to leave immediately. The hologram then begins to dissipate as the transmission ends. After the call, the communication device turns off. The woman then warns the MC not to break the promise they made. He replies that if he's not in this world, it doesn't count as a breach of contract. She turns and invites him to get going on the mission. The two then walk towards the exit. However, someone shouts for them to wait. The demon sister appears in front of them, saying they can't go. The MC glares at her and asks if she really has a death wish. She stays quiet, a worried expression on her face. Then she opens her arms and stands in front of them, warning that it's too dangerous. With her arms outstretched, she blocks the passage, preventing them from leaving. At this, the merchant approaches and touches the girl's shoulder, getting her attention. The merchant says that a hunter's job is to face danger. With that, she says they should go, and the MC agrees with a simple sound. The blonde boy is moved by his master's attitude and praises him. Then the young man approaches and says they should go defeat the Q-Fu together, but she remains silent. However, she thinks that if they keep going like this, something bad is going to happen. Seeing that they are leaving, the blonde boy grabs her by the arm and pulls her along. Outside, the woman blows smoke from her pipe. Outside, he checks out her car. The MC then compliments the vehicle with a smile on his face. The merchant says that when he becomes a B rank hunter, the association will give him a car too. The merchant then invites him to get in the car. But the MC asks her to wait a moment, leaving her confused. Suddenly, he grabs his little scooter. He then forcefully throws it into the car's trunk. After stowing his scooter, he says they can go now. The woman is surprised and asks why he's bringing that with him. He says it would be bad if someone stole it. She then comments that she didn't expect someone so strong to care about an electric scooter. Our boy replies that after riding it for a long time, he's developed a feeling for it. He then gets in the car and asks if she's not going to drive. The woman adjusts herself in the seat and tells the car to go to the plaza. With that, a holographic panel appears on the steering wheel and the autopilot is activated. The MC comments that the self-driving is impressive. Outside, the blonde boy arrives too late and sees the car departing. The young man then gets angry and says he'll have to chase them on his own. The blonde boy warns the white-haired girl that he's very fast and tells her to hold on tight. Then he shouts, and an aura of electricity surrounds him as she holds onto his hair. The young man shoots off like a yellow lightning bolt through the city at high speed. Even with the impressive speed, she holds on tight. Inside the car, the night warden sees a streak of light approaching in the rearview mirror. She then informs the MC that his disciple is coming after them. With his arms crossed, he replies that the boy is not his disciple. They cut through the city under a beautiful starry sky. The car then arrives at its destination. As they get out of the vehicle, the MC comments that the place doesn't look like anything special. Someone says that she was too slow. A hooded man appears and says they've been waiting for half an hour. Shortly after, a priest with glasses also reveals himself. The two men then stand in the street, waiting. The hooded ninja complains that a mere B-rank hunter made them wait for so long. Beside him, the priest with glasses says that the one true God will forgive their rudeness. At this, the MC wonders if these guys are looking for a fight, but the woman tells him not to move. The merchant then explains that she discovered a Kyufu in her bar. Suddenly, the ninja leaps from where he was standing. With an impact sound, the ninja says it's too much of a coincidence for the Kyufu to appear. He then says he had already warned them that he could handle the mission alone without some B-rank trash. The merchant hears this and asks if he's deliberately looking for trouble. Masked man glares at her and asks if she's talking to him. He says he's eliminated hundreds of Kyufus and doesn't care about some weakling. Our boy's spirit assistant gets angry and tells him to take down the cocky guy. The priest gets serious and tells everyone to stop fighting immediately. He asks if they haven't noticed anything strange on their energy detectors. The woman then lifts her dress slightly to check the device strapped to her thigh. She's shocked to see the number 9,999 and says the energy is abnormal. The hooded man looks at his detector and says it must be broken because a Kyufu that strong doesn't exist. At that instant, a purple portal opens in the city sky, emitting a sinister energy. Seeing this, the priest shouts for everyone to get ready. The MC then looks up with a serious expression. Suddenly, a beam of pink light cuts through the portal and the energy. The hunters are on high alert as they watch the anomaly in the sky. The merchant says this Kyufu is not simple and doesn't understand how it can have such immense power. Far away, the blonde boy also sees the energy in the sky and comments that something has happened. The so-called sister then looks at the portal and says it really has appeared. Alelisi Silankofafirambuli steps out. Shortly after, an arm with an iron gauntlet also emerges. A large, robust creature in armor materializes and wonders how a planet with so little energy caught their attention. The ninja says the Kyufu is unlucky to run into him, but the priest holds him back and tells him not to go alone. Nempiesto kunefran tiadshiri tior. Tini neje boyu sped. The ninja moves quickly and says that no Kyufu can hurt him. He then readies his scythe and tries to attack the armored monster. Isb80 a siorti orti movimenti. The armored being then raises its sword aimed at TSK Tiranan CTST and NJ. The attack hits the ninja dead on. The priest is shocked and comments that the monster's speed is greater than his partner's. The Kyufu then lands on the ground and faces the MC and the merchant. He says that trash like them are not worthy of making him open the gate. The ninja ice down on the ground, wounded, and asks for someone to save him. Our hero rushes forward at high speed T and NJ from THE CRE2 Estone P. Dofaliam go OUMC Proutis T and NJBUH TAQRO Sifo LIGT BK. JOUA Sel YAST OT Membite EIMNS Pauboar. ESO CK ALTAT Apoba Bevorheim. Also BYOR Boy Steer and GH. He then composes himself and asks if the young man thinks he can stop him. The MC gives a confident smirk and says that he actually wants to finish the monster off. The armored creature then clenches its fist around ITS BLADE tightly. TMC Semamunts S Flush BLAD. Hero abuse at TR Bielodogad Ainana Testio FSTRNGH. The priest shouts at the woman to snap out of it and help him control the enemy. The merchant then blows smoke from her pipe towards the monster. The armored creature is enveloped in the smoke and wonders what it is. The priest takes the chance and uses a light ability to bless the MC. With that, a golden aura surrounds the hero and the Qifu as the smoke dissipates. The white spirit says this power is incredible and tells the boy to finish the enemy quickly. The armored being gets annoyed by the smoke. Young then prepares to attack using his technique. The armored monster defend the attack YTITSBLAD. So fast no teamy ITID skew RELY. BE Gilisto Ridefil UID. The monster says it hates weak trash and that's why it's annoyed. He then complains that they didn't even have the basic respect for a one-on-one fight. With a smirk, the MC mocks him, saying a Qifu wants to talk about fighting spirit. The armored being is confused by the MC's words and repeats the word, Qifu. Suddenly, a purple energy explodes from the creature's body, and the priest TRYT Demes Elve Phenom THRA Y. THD is shocked and wonders how strong this enemy really is. Juice DY well keen Sudis Malacirars Ejirogu in D. He glares at the hero and says that an inferior race like his dares to be so arrogant. The monster then decides to show the young man the power of the gate's guardian. The creature slams Iceblay and THE Grow and Emen AGA Hejuji Amon TF Poar. Y ALL THP Boar. Hati Yemen ISPH Biral, Kula Orfel Eamagwai. Ain D spans and H Chulodar CRE A to Ephraim IT. Seeing this, the priest comments that the enemy's power is terrifying and they can't let it attack. With that, E decides to use the ultimate power of the one true God, clenches his fist and creates a massive golden cross symbol. The priest launches the cross towards the energy sphere to try and stop it. However, the merchant is shocked because the energy sphere took no damage. ST's in disbelief and wonders how that's possible. THE Monstar status that on the battlefield, only the winners can leave alive. He then smiles and says that this is the respect he has for combat. Beside the hero, the white spirit comments that this guy is a battle maniac. The MC agrees and says that either way, they need to take the monster down. Fussity Etienne Kenan EMY. The armored being gets excited that HE is finally coming to fight. Emitietzo po alasausi wadavivi. Contact the MCs when BGNS to Feofeldr. The white spirit yells for the hero to get away, as the enemy is absorbing his power. Backward THEMC retreats. The MC asks if using a domain to steal others' power is the monster's so-called respect. The armored being replies that as long as it's one-on-one, any method is valid. The creature then smiles sinisterly and says there's one more thing. He then says the MC shouldn't think he's safe just because he's not touching him. The creature EXPL ace that every second in the dueling domain is exchanged for HA's power. In other words, since the moment the boy entered, his life has been on a countdown. Seeing this, the white spirit shouts that they need to end the fight quickly. Munstar says it's useless and that HE has no chance of winning. CLEOING ICLF. The monster XYHichi doesn't just accept his defeat ALOE BIGAKAD B-Way TEMC. Isena BDS Piot is shocked and wonders how fast those two are. The priest comments that he can't see their movements clearly. MC uses Rabilia Likid from Lythe Demi TOATTAkai, PMSEO La G Kumis Duoan and Like ANXE, Tawars TXCR USCO Waldar. The armored being catches the hero's foot with ease and glares at him with a smile. THATEB Loki D Asatakai. Seizing the monster slum STMCAG grow and DYTA force E. Echi Gardu OR Bawai Stat Suyu IGUP Radi Fluid. GUP and USC's S Venom B ILI. The plants wrap around the monster's body, attempting to immobilize it. Timo Mo Shies him, Simaningi its knave to think a trick like that can hold him. Zueng ANTRST8 AMEPRESLY. The MC gets up and comments that the enemy's armor SVRI BLB and DMA DORF MTL. Hemiminsatis PR for CT4 Him. The hero then raises his sword and envelopes it with an aura of blue lightning. He then launches a powerful electric attack towards the monster. The electric attack hits the monster head on. The armored creature complains that it can't move as smoke rises from its body. TOTE paralyzed RE Turi. Artur Ur, OBSER Vangai T. He then slices the Mosinish K with a clean cut. TEUBES to DSAP. Atiachi Pius T is shocked and comments that the boy actually defeated the enemy alone. Suddenly, the blonde boy arrives laughing and says that's nothing for his master. Siso Kostar Kaiman TAT Turel Bay TSN TEVM beginnen. TA Erbo de Turastatuage, Askag If Tai Uriel Egwage Tai Hat D1. If the monster Ryle Y went to a Fiji H2 Tibetet REND. Isim West Rios BLAD. Hasiste BSELF View ATHSOEN MBLAD. Taishimar says that true despair for insects is just beginning. The MC shouts for the monster to stop, asking how he's supposed to complete the mission if the enemy destroys itself. TOCREMINPI. The power is so great it blinds them. Bueven at Elf MAGCCIF OTERS Odigro D. The priest watches with a serious expression on his face. Warabd. Circle, a huge, demonic-looking gate emerges. The priest wonders if that terrifying sacrifice was just to create a door. The ninja complains that he thought it would be an explosion, not a portal. Eligat ham now to you durustime it. The masked man says it's just a broken door, and he couldn't care less. Suddenly, a powerful energy emanates from the gate. Iseso EGNTTX dare a far he to T Arcanius. The energy inside the demonic gate begins to churn intensely. With a panicked shout, the Piiste warns that something is about to come out. A strange creature BGNS TOEMRGE. The creature then stops in mid-air, revealing itself to be some kind of humanoid alien. The hooded ninja is surprised and asks if only that little guy came out of the gate. Once he watches the newcomer with a serious and suspicious expression. The masked man asks if the power meter shows the being's strength. The ninja then grabs his kunai and says he's going to test the enemy's strength. With that, he unleashes a shower of blades towards the alien. The alien being points a finger at the blades and stops them in mid-air effortlessly. With a single finger, he disintegrates all the kunai into dust. A beam of purple energy then streaks across the battlefield in the blink of an eye. The MC comments that this last monster seems to be very powerful and different. Tianan says they need to team up until reinforcements arrive. TSD then shouts for the ninja to prepare for battle. The priest looks back confused and realizes his companion isn't responding. The masked ninja is frozen and says he didn't expect such a sudden end. TNOTOTE groaned Lufelicis. The Paristai shouts that they need to fight with everything they've got if they want to survive. Goendi GHEO Positio Mametiti Girup. The MC says that with his current strength, he can't face that monster. Then suggests that the MC join the other hunters. At that moment, the priest begins to pray, asking for power from the supreme true God. The three of them team up as the alien being watches them with contempt and disdain. The MC says he has a way to get close and asks the others to distract the enemy. The priest then asks who this being is and what it wants. The MC uses an invisibility technique to sneak closer. The alien says that even though they are insects, he's willing to answer their question. He reveals that all the monsters they've faced before were level 1. The being says that only after a certain number are defeated do they send a level 2 guardian. The alien continues to explain that if the guardian is defeated, the planet is considered valuable. Fellow SRPRC take a chase. Suddenly red tentacles erupt from the ground and IMPLOUR boy. The boy is caught by surprise and pierced by several sharp tentacles. Wounded, the MC wonders how the enemy managed to find his position. The white spirit yells for the young man to look back. MC Loca Sike Sur Press. DUSBLF. TATYRECENG. The alien says he is the judge of this universe, the magnificent Jiankuldur Sefar Amgabal ANDLLIOMTIIGHTTRK. In the sky, a horde of monsters appears, and the MC wonders what that is. TMC questions if this was why he couldn't just get rid of the monsters. ASHIA Loakiso, Shiela Desestar. The hero then shouts, asking why he wasn't warned about the creature levels. The white spirit replies that it doesn't matter what monsters appear, as long as the mission is completed. Jahi To'o Kubo Piatimai Co An Goomi. Bleeding heavily, the young man realizes he's only one monster away from completing his objective. The floating alien says that's enough chit-chat. Look, the judge says it's time to send them all to THEAF Tiralef. The TO-SUD CARCRs are stunned. The priest then screams in desperation that the situation is beyond their current capabilities. Wooden Arvos Andiafarate replies that she's already trying to contact headquarters. The alien then orders its monsters to attack the hunters without mercy. Charge with full force ANSTTO Sidi Sierra Siviars. With that, the priest puts his hands together and uses a divine blessing to strengthen himself. He then charges forward and begins to fight bravely against the monsters summoned by the judge. Kioli SERPT Definin DRSLF. Shesemke BLD Ashi DGSTTO Sans OF Monastars. Watching the fight, the alien says that humans really are a bunch of trash. Suddenly, the judge notices something strange amidst the chaos of the battlefield. He sees Ta Keladi Sastar and wonders why she's on the side of the humans. TAGGGPRs and Efron OFER. The judge then says that her excuse doesn't matter, because her actions bring shame to their race. The alien being tells the girl to just people Shandi and FER Reli SESS Akobo Arfil, Enan GY. Purple Energy Explosion ISQ City. Otichiso Kalolidi Sistar no AGGGJG Suar Prisadi. The MC emerges from the smoke and says he's made an important decision. The hero stands in front of the girl, protecting her with his sword drawn Shi Wasthe Omendobio Defefen and DHTR. He then shouts that the alien will be his 10,000th target to complete the mission. The judge is surprised by the MC's audacity and prepares a new attack. Tuosos Tar becomes desperate and yells for the MC to be careful. OR, however, remains calm and confident in the face of the threat. TMCIEFSLEN TEDL SOSOK. Hal DYADLRE BPEP OFFBHEJGE. ASCOFIS INGI FTMC TASYOFACN HE M. TMNC DIASIN even in CREM STL ein DISBLIF. Efinil Y RIZ TUX tenant OFTHE TRUs POR. ATGST HAPIDA Interius Torrentio ELPS Mistar. Teen Ijichiwa Arden Kreis OT at TMC Snemi. ICPITID TAMC Finilov Califesius. Kloyisa Kalaj Sestar Chesies HMNINERRMS. TMNC Apologis 2HER. Sechi Shirai UTS Nami. Asinif Lars TUAG4 RTAJDGE. The judge gets angry and wonders how a mere traitor dares to look at him that way. Furious, the purple being orders his monsters to attack and finish everyone off. STXERA2RS Comhevur HR. The blonde boy yells for her to watch out and Garibs OURMCTO save him. The remaining hunters decide to protect the MC and the girl at all costs. The priest then uses an ability to increase the power of his allies. Mist covers the battlefield, and the aliens' creatures become confused. The priest shouts for one of his companions to take the chance and flee. Seeing this, the judge scoffs and says that the level 1 monsters are indeed useless. The alien then decides to end it all and prepares a powerful energy attack. Agistan GST STDRs, Hitaris TRUH even and Asa W-9S. The blonde boy realizes he won't be able to dodge and screams in desperation. A mysterious SYTBL Fizi Ever White-ING. The judge's attack is completely frozen solid. The priest celebrates with relief and shouts that reinforcements from headquarters have finally arrived. The black-haired woman recognizes the technique and says there's no doubt who it is. The armored woman appears and is introduced as the Ice Queen Aliana. The blonde boy gets super excited and says he can now rest in peace after seeing an S-rank hunter. His companion, however, slaps him and yells at him to only rest after they've escaped. The Ice Queen thanks them for their help and tells them to get out of there quickly. The alien judge observes the newcomer with a serious and contemptuous expression. A smile, the judge says an S-rank hunter must be the strongest on the planet. UMUSUSTJDHH, an IDI for an TEs. Then the alien launches a powerful attack, saying he wants to see her strength. With that, Aliana summons enormous ice crystals to defend herself. The impact of the two powers causes a massive explosion on the battlefield. Tai yell for the MC to get in the car, or they'll leave without him. The priest then uses his divine blessing to heal the wounded MC. T. Star is worried as the healing begins to take effect. He only stabilizes the wound and thanks the MC SSO Kaleli D. Sestiar. Priest then worries, as he doesn't know if the elite hunter can handle the enemy. The other hunter tells him not to worry, because an S rank never loses a fight. Lefabel D. We see Aliana gravely injured Y. Tai He R. Obunice. The alien judge mocks the hunter and says the strongest on the planet is no big deal. However, the purple being realizes that Aliana used the ice to escape. She created an ice clone to deceive the enemy and get away. The villain wonders how she managed to escape despite Spite being so wounded. He says that despite her strength, she's still just an insect compared to him. The judge then summons his army of monsters to destroy the entire planet. Several alien creatures emerge and prepare for a mass attack. Furious, one of the generals shouts that it's a disgrace to let weak creatures escape. At this, the alien judge turns to a portal and sees someone's silhouette. He is shocked to recognize the person commanding his army. Aliana OBCR is Wuyort Yesapin and Jij. 2 Duo YTI Don. ITGHU Wooderans Bayar. The priest shows off his driving skills and pulls a radical maneuver to stop. The blonde boy praises the driver, but the Naigiatu then scolds them for messing around. She then says they need to warn headquarters about the danger. The woman remembers that the MC is gravely injured and needs treatment. In the back, C is unconscious and covered in blood. Hisha calls his name, but HE doesn't respond at all. He says TACAP ASAMINACROSTFSE to Wekihimu. HE wakes up annoyed and asks why she hit him while he was injured. Team MC then realizes he's no longer in the car and is confused by the situation. He wonders if it was all a dream and if he wasn't really attacked. HETN confirms that he is dying and that the alien's attack was real. She explains that the judge pierced his chest and that without a heart, he should be gone. The MC laments that he's going to perish after having eliminated so many monsters. The little assistant says with a smile that the system never said he was going to expire. TMC becomes hopeful and asks if there's any ability that can save him. The creature shouts that the powers he stole from the level 1 monsters are useless. But she reveals that absorbing abilities is just one of the system's functions. The assistant explains that the most important function of the system is to convert energy. With that, she converted all the powers he absorbed into a single energy source. The creature then hands an energy core to the MC to use in his body. The core fuses with HS chest and begins to replace his lost heart. Heech feels the power flowing through his body and feels stronger than ever before. He then asks if this energy can run out, and the assistant confirms that it can. The little creature says that's exactly what she wanted to warn him about. She explains that when the energy runs out, his body will stop functioning. The alien judge is observing Tinabielwire Vadi Chiyuari. He turns around and, with an annoyed expression, says he doesn't need anyone's help. At this, a giant, muscular being appears and says they are both level 5 and therefore equals. Other Monestiar then states that he doesn't need to explain his actions to him. Taggee says he is the commander and should not be questioned. But the giant monster claims he's not interested in leading the army. Taggee asks what his objective is. The giant creature says the former general was his subordinate, and he will not forgive whoever eliminated him. Then the muscular being points the judge and says he's going after the culprits. Taggee warns that this will interfere with their boss's plans, but the giant doesn't care. OKTSD Artion Turara Lenin Siriturai Oba Arvis Tam. AIT Stars in Teen TLY. The blonde boy despairs and asks Tiachi Puirist if their master isn't coming to help. The priest takes out his phone and says the city's signals have been cut by the monsters. The young man becomes desperate and says now all they can do is wait for the end. TSTMC War ED. Senensaios. Back in the MC's mind, he laments that he'll perish when the energy runs out. Ifetina y Rayuans OTS Doni Fawar. She then reveals that the energy he has now will only last for 5 days. TGSI Stan asks Chaim what he plans to do with the time he has left. THEMC states that he can't waste time and needs to eliminate more monsters. But the little assistant says he hasn't heard about the system's new ability yet. She explains that the energy can be used to strengthen his original abilities. He is surprised, and the assistant says he can increase his power by 10,000 times. He then understands that using more energy will make his lifespan decrease faster. With a determined look, the MC says he needs to hunt monsters to survive. Back in Olworld, Seishi holds the MC's hand anxiously. The blonde boy asks what happened, and she replies that the MC moved. Everyone gathers around the stretcher to see what's happening. The core in the MC's chest begins to pulse and transform rapidly. The core stabilizes, and the MC wakes up with his new heart and monster arm. The priest wonders how his heart regenerated, and the woman says he has many secrets. S starts to cry with relief and hugs him tightly. THEMC sits up on the stretcher and hugs his sister back, telling her to take it easy. The blonde boy approaches happily, but the MC pushes him away with his monster arm. Suddenly another hunter S from Outside, desperately asking for help. The man runs in and warns that the monsters are approaching their location. The next instant, a claw pierces through the hunter's chest. The creature retracts its claw, and the man falls to the ground as the monster army appears. The monsters invade the room. TXNVR Sinaso Mana Menace Ars. The priest activates his glasses and says that's not all, as there are more on the way. On the glasses display, he can see the energy detector for the monsters in the area. The device reveals that there are even more powerful creatures mixed in. The woman comments on the detector, and the priest says that the base already knew about the invasion. At that moment, one of the creatures attacks the priest with a very fast charge. The monster lands a powerful blow on the ground, opening a large crater in the floor. The priest then joins his hands and prepares to use one of his special abilities. He releases several rays of holy light that strike the monsters. The energy rays pierce through the enemies, eliminating several of them at once. HAL Giants TXCRU res. But one of the monsters ignores the barrier and approaches Hachaim from the side. The priest gets nervous when he sees that the monster was unaffected by his holy light. The monster is hit by a beam of energy before it can attack Hachaim. Triras Komen G Ephraim T Side. The blonde boy says he couldn't just stand by, and the priest is happy for his help. The young man joins his hands and begins to Aforam Al Esatric Rosingen. He then fires a large beam of energy that hits the monster's head on. Meanwhile, the woman warns the blonde boy to be careful of the enemy's attack. With a large sword attacks the young man, Hiti Bairello de GST. The monster lips with a terrifying smile and Hindu Odia. R. Starkey. The priest appears and D and team FFRM T most to Aussie Kaun DATAK. The blonde boy thanks him for the help, and the priest says they need to be more careful. From a distance, the MC watches his friends fighting against the monster army. He then asks the assistant if she can identify the monster's levels. She replies that she can, and that his question is a little insulting. Iveshimamene MS Malasabi and Datavitas T Ibilaty. And the MC's eye, like E Sarangen, activates. With this, E can see the power level of each of the monsters. He wonders about Tiajin and why. The assistant says it's the energy gained from defeating them. The assistant explains that the monsters are classified by their energy level. The MC understands that a level 1 monster gives 1 to 9 energy points. He asks why he only has 9,000 points, and the assistant says it's a coincidence. But if he then transforms his monster arm into a sword. The MC approaches his sister and says he doesn't have time to worry about her. Andy BGNS TOPL Rom HSARM. The girl tries to talk about his injuries, but the MC cuts her off instantly. He says he needs more energy and that he's going to start hunting the monsters in the room. Eastas WN the enemies and says he'll start with a fire monster. The fire creature approaches the MC's sister to attack. Olefe a PRFTT Tagachres Uni-SED. Body is split in two and the MC's sister watches in surprise. The monster's parts dissolve. He notices increased and the assistant BAS ABO Tai RSW stim. He then absorbs the creature's energy. The MC smiles and says that now he just needs to collect more energy to survive. Then he says it's time to test the new ability he just got. With that, Ichi launches a powerful fire attack towards the monster army. Tish Itsures Maralaya Gaizia Beefaliar Sayangi. HT Wadden is surprised and asks if his injuries were fake. But suddenly, the MC coughs up blood and his monster arm begins to pulse. The blonde young man approaches, worried, and asks what happened to his master. THEMC explains that this attack consumed a lot of energy and nearly finished him off in the process. BQUSHE QL DAV deity. HE Kochi TM Manage TO EB on TEC Island T Mustard HT Tyasi Forada Su Arpai Se Thakai. S Wooden. Sistar Jin Info FT Etikek To Parata Fiti Hem. Omis Towel STM Sichi Styles He Chime. We see our hero holding Lishu in his arms. The MC tells the blonde dude to look after her. With a furious, blood-splattered look on his face, our hero turns to face the threat. In front of him stands a level 180 spider monster. The blonde guy accepts the task of protecting Lisha, calling her Master. His arm transformed and his blade in flames, our hero slowly walks forward. He charges, yelling for the spider monster to get wrecked. The monster quickly counters with a blast of fire. But the creature just scoffs, saying he has no chance of hitting it. The monster then zips away at high speed while taunting the MC. Suddenly, a swarm of other creatures appears to attack him. Furious that the spider monster escaped, our boy screams for everyone to get out of his way. He leaps on top of the monsters. And with that, our hero lands a solid stump right on a monster's face. He plows through the tide of monsters with his flaming blade. Watch Girl yells at our hero, asking if he's lost his mind going after the monster all by himself. The priest says the MC is blinded by rage and isn't thinking straight. The only thing they can do is clear a path for him. So they use a joint skill to open up a path for them. Seeing the clear path, our protagonist charges forward without a second thought. His partner notes that he's grown attached to Lisha, which is why he got so mad when she got hurt. His little assistant warns him that this is obviously a trap, and he shouldn't fall for it. Our boy says he doesn't care and that he needs that monster's energy. He catches up to his target. With a determined look, our hero says that if the monster stopped, it must be because it wants to be taken down. The MC then leaps forward with his blade. The spider creature dodges the first strike. Our boy spins and changes direction. He unleashes a flurry of attacks, but the monster is just too nimble. His partner warns him that the enemy is a level 3, 100 times stronger than the level 1 mobs. Our hero says he's already felt the enemy's power, but isn't intimidated by it. The spider monster says this whole thing is boring, and that he can handle the kid by himself. That the creature starts sucking in the air. Then the villain fires an air projectile right at the MC. The spider lets out a wicked laugh. The spider gets close to the MC and snaps its fingers. Explosion goes off. The spider then lands gracefully. Our protagonist is on the ground after taking the full force of the blast. The spider monster then slowly walks toward the explosion site. The creature then steps right on our hero's face. With a wicked grin, the monster says that humans are pathetically weak. But our boy grabs the enemy's foot. The guy says it looks like he can't save energy anymore and decides to go all out. With a swift move, he strikes the protagonist's arm. The spider monster then leaps away. Our hero says if the enemy is 100 times stronger, he'll just use 1,000 times more energy. He then starts drawing on his own energy to fight the monster. More power, he prepares to attack the monster. The creature gets furious and says it's gonna blast our boy to bits. The spider monster then focuses and attacks the MC with several fireballs. The powerful flame attack comes hurtling toward the protagonist. He gets caught in the spider's flames. Even while being burned, he leaps through the flames and seizes the opportunity to strike. The blow lands squarely on the spider monster, slicing it in half with no effort at all. The energy from the attack continues, cutting through everything in its path. The strike is so powerful it even slices through the building that was behind the monster. The eye on his bionic arm shows his point count, which is now at 8,075. His partner says he used a lot of energy to avenge his sister. Someone mysterious starts clapping. A giant orc appears and comments that the protagonist defeated his subordinate. His partner warns him to be careful with the new enemy. She says this monster is a level 5 and has a power level of 1,598. The giant orc says the spider monster was the weakest of his underlings. Even so, the spider monster was his lackey, and he's annoyed by its demise. The orc releases a colorful aura and asks if our boy is ready to meet his end. Our hero feels the crushing pressure. He remembers a past defeat against an enemy with tentacles, but our protagonist places a hand on his chest and focuses his energy. He then yells that this time he won't fail and starts rapidly consuming his energy. With that, our boy unleashes 100 times the power of his flame attack and strikes the orc. He delivers the flaming blow to its back, but the orc disdainfully catches the protagonist's blade with just 2 fingers. He's shocked at how easily his attack was shut down. The giant orc then counters, slamming the protagonist into the ground. On the ground, he spits up blood. His partner asks if he's still going to try and save energy against a level 5 enemy. Prepares another punch. The little assistant screams for him to watch out for the attack. Our boy then places a hand on his chest and starts consuming his energy again. Energy count rapidly drops lower and lower. The orc's powerful blow hits the protagonist, causing a massive explosion. The orc's fist collides with the protagonist's monster arm. Incredibly, the protagonist managed to block the orc's punch. The protagonist's arm takes on a different form, surprising him. Seizing the opportunity, the protagonist backflips away, creating some distance. Some acrobatics, he lands. Our protagonist says he spent 500 energy points and still barely managed to block the attack. The little assistant says the orc has no special attacks and that he can beat it. The orc is surprised that our boy withstood his punch. The monster says his strength is overwhelming and charges forward again. Is too fast and lands a direct punch to our hero's face. The powerful blow sends our protagonist flying. Suddenly, the protagonist wonders if something is off, as he can no longer see the enemy. At that moment, gigantic ice pillars erupt from the ground, trapping the monster. Several other nearby monsters are also instantly frozen solid. Our hero's allies see the attack and wonder what just happened. The blonde guy recognizes Alina's ability and wonders if it was her. The giant orc manages to break free from the ice and leaps away. He scoffs at the attack, asking if they think a ridiculous sneak attack can actually hit him. Then Olina appears and launches more ice projectiles at the orcs. Monster says the attacks are useless. With a furious look, the orc says there's one more thing. He tells our hero not to think that sneaky tricks will work on him. The blow hits our protagonist and slams him into the ground again. His partner says that fighting a level 5 monster is too much for him, but our hero gives a confident smile and says he's figured out the enemy's ability. Suddenly, the protagonist's sister cries out for him tightly. The blonde guy asks if he took care of the monsters by himself, and our hero replies that the Ice Queen cleaned everything up. His sister then looks at his body and notices he's gotten hurt again, but our protagonist says she got hurt worse. But when he looks at the wound on her back, he sees that there's nothing there. After realizing she's already healed, the protagonist notes that he can't treat her like a normal human. His partner says he cares a lot about her and is acting like a real brother. The priest comments that the monster Olina is fighting seems to be pretty strong. The protagonist agrees, commenting that it's a threat on the same level as Nelia. Olina and the giant orc continue their fight. Olina tries every way possible to hit the orc, who thwarts her attacks, even mockingly dodging her strikes. She gets more and more furious as the orc keeps dodging her attacks. The monster says that such a boring attack won't work, so he decides it's better to take care of the protagonist first. The priest senses the imminent danger. With a powerful leap, the orc lands in front of everyone. Our protagonist says the monster is strong and fast, and if they attack together, maybe they can find a weak spot. The giant orc scoffs at them for thinking they'll find his weak spot. The Night Watch girl attacks with her smoke. The smoke surrounds the giant orc's feet, who quickly jumps away. The blonde guy and the priest take the opportunity to attack with their lightning beams. But the giant orc manages to grab both of their hands at the same time. With a look of superiority, he says that insects can't hit him and makes them hit each other with their own attacks. He throws them both to the ground with ease. Our hero realizes they can't land a hit on him. His partner says she has an idea. Our protagonist gets the orc's attention. He tells the monster to see if it can dodge his next attack. Our boy unleashes a powerful strike, and surprisingly, the orc catches the protagonist's blow with his armpit. The giant orc says it was a childish taunt as he winds up a powerful punch. He then lands a heavy punch right in our boy's face. The blow makes our protagonist spit up blood. His partner says it's working and he needs to hang in there. The gem on his chest begins to glow brightly, and once again, he consumes more energy. Our hero fires a beam from his hand, launching himself into the air. The allies want to help, but they can't, though the blonde guy is determined to go. But the protagonist's sister holds out her hand and stops them. She explains that her brother said they would only get in the way, because they're too weak. The blonde guy gets annoyed and says if they're weak, the Ice Queen could help. But when he turns to Olina, she doesn't respond. Suddenly, everyone is shocked to see the Ice Queen collapse, unconscious. The orc is chasing our protagonist at high speed. The monster yells furiously as it chases our boy. The orc quickly catches up to our protagonist and prepares a punch. But our hero manages to dodge the powerful punch. The protagonist runs through a door to escape, but it turns out to be an empty room. The giant orc arrives at the door and says there's nowhere left for him to run. Our boy, with a confident smile, says that the orcs is the one with nowhere to run. Behind the orc, vines sprout from the ground. Our protagonist says the orc's ability is like an absolute dodge. He can evade any attack that threatens him. The orc agrees, saying his ability is even more OP than the protagonist imagines. Our hero then says none of that matters and begins to consume more energy. He says that if he explodes in such a small space, the orc won't be able to escape, frightening the orcs. The protagonist begins to glow intensely. Our protagonist is covered in an aura of energy while the giant orc looks on stunned. The monster wonders why he's feeling a sense of danger from such an inferior creature. Realizing this isn't going to end well, the giant orc decides to flee immediately but is blocked by the vines. Our boy smiles and says it's too late for him to run now. The protagonist then concentrates a huge amount of energy in the palm of his hand. He yells the name of his attack and unleashes an explosion with over 3,000 times his power. The giant orc is utterly terrified as he sees the attack coming toward him, and then a massive explosion occurs, destroying the entire area. Protagonist's allies arrive and are horrified by the destruction. The blonde guy yells at the protagonist's sister, saying she didn't even worry about him. But his sister says he'll be fine and that she believes in him. The night watch girl then intervenes, saying they need to find our hero. Suddenly, a large explosion erupts from the middle of the rubble. Our boy then emerges from the debris, all beaten up. The blonde guy asks if he's okay and he says he got lucky. Our hero explains that he used a hardening technique with 1,000 times the effect to survive. The blonde guy goes to help his master out of the rubble. But suddenly the rubble begins to shake violently. A giant hand emerges from the middle of the debris. The giant orc then grabs the rocks and stands up, revealing that he survived. The monster says with a furious look that he really underestimated him. Our protagonist and his apprentice are stunned. Our boy is shocked to see that not even an explosion of that magnitude was enough to defeat him. And as the monster starts to move, the night watch girl activates her smoke to strike first. The giant then charges forward furiously. Watch girl uses her ability to create a large smoke screen. Several smoke swords fly towards the orcs. The giant orc manages to dodge all the attacks. Monster says the explosion affected his body. But even injured, he can still fight. The giant orc asks if they think that's all the power he has and unleashes his energy. Everyone is paralyzed by the pressure of the monster's aura. Our protagonist feels the monster's energy has increased again. The gem shows that the giant orc's energy has risen to over 38,000. The orc explains that they limit their powers to adapt to the planet, and now he's released it all. But the monster knows that if he stays in this state for too long, he could end up in big trouble. With a furious look, he says he's going to finish them all. The blonde apprentice says he won't let him hurt his master and prepares a golden Kamehameha. The monster simply ignores the guy's attack and walks past him. The giant orc then winds up a punch aimed at the protagonist. Our boy realizes his only chance is to risk it all. Suddenly, a huge explosion happens in their clash. The protagonist self-destructed again. After the explosion, the giant orc yells that he won't be done in by such an inferior being. He then decides to flee the battle. The blonde apprentice is shocked to see the orc running away. The night watch girl intervenes, telling him to calm down and check on the protagonist's condition. The blonde guy runs desperately to where the MC was. Suddenly, the protagonist slaps the blonde guy across the face to snap him out of it. He turns his head and sees it was the protagonist who hit him, saying he's not gone yet. Our hero then shoves his apprentice away. The blonde guy asks how he wasn't hurt if he had just exploded. The night watch girl questions the released energy, and our protagonist says it was just a trick. He explains that he just faked a self-explosion to scare the monster. Our boy explains that such an arrogant being would never risk it all against insect. The night watch girl then asks if he wasn't afraid the orc would actually fight. Our hero says that without the limiters, the monster's body was reaching its breaking point. The protagonist says they need to go after the giant orc right away. The night watch girl stops our protagonist. She says that if he goes after the orc in his current state, he'll end up in a bad way. Our protagonist says if he doesn't go, he might not even survive another day and shows his counter. His sister then helps by supporting the protagonist. Determined, she says she will stay with her brother forever. The night watch girl just watches the three of them thoughtfully. She then decides to stay behind to contact headquarters. The woman asks our hero not to forget the promise they made. She reminds him that he needs to come back alive to be her bodyguard for a month. Our boy says he won't break his promise. The group runs through the city streets, searching for the monster's whereabouts. Suddenly, the blonde apprentice points and alerts the protagonist. They spot the giant orc fleeing. The blonde guy is surprised to see that it's flying away. The giant orc looks back and wonders how our hero is still alive. The giant orc screams in pain from the damage his body is taking. The monster knows that if this continues, he's toast. The blonde guy says the monster flew away, and the protagonist replies that he can't fly. The blonde guy smiles and says he can finally be useful for something. He says he's not very good at it yet, but he can fly. He then covers himself in a golden aura of electricity. He grabs protagonist and his sister by the arm. Then he starts flying while carrying both of them. The giant orc is surprised to see the group catching up to him. The monster then spots the floating city ahead of him. At the Hunter Association headquarters, a man asks if everyone has arrived. A woman with glasses informs him that they haven't yet. She says that only 10 people showed up for the meeting, and the rest gave some excuse. The man is furious with the other hunters' lack of concern. He says 10 people is enough and opens the door to the meeting room. He then announces that the meeting will begin. And they are all 10s rank hunters. One gets irritated and tells the meeting leader that if this isn't important, he's going to be in for it. This woman in a pirate hat is Captain Zheng Ni, the 6th strongest S rank hunter. At this, a masked man scolds her for her lack of manners toward Mr. Shanmu. This is the government's guardian, Staiwen, the 5th strongest hunter in the association. Another guy with a fan tells him not to bother with savage people. This is the great yin yang master Abe Saimei, the 10th strongest hunter of all. At this, Captain Zheng Ni gets angry and threatens the fan guy in front of everyone. But the fan guy says he has no interest in a pointless fight. Suddenly, a boy appears between the two and tells them they need to calm down. The boy says now is not the time for silly squabbles. This is the boy known as Sonic Wave Moore, the 15th strongest hunter of all. Soon, a masked guy says that terror is just something to be cut with a sword. Meanwhile, 2 old men are talking, and one of them says the young ones should decide for themselves. Another bald guy tells everyone to listen to what Shanmu has to say. This bald man is named Shanmu, the 13th strongest hunter of all. Then, a robot appears, which is the 9th strongest hunter in the association. Its name is Abo. Sitting and chained up is the 16th strongest hunter, prisoner number 14514. With everyone gathered, the meeting leader calls for silence and says the meeting will begin. He then asks his assistant to turn on the projector. The woman presses a button on a remote control, and in the middle of the room, a hologram appears for all the hunters. The leader explains that an advanced level terror appeared ahead of schedule and opened a portal. He also says the portals are sucking up the surrounding energy to summon more monsters. And their leader is a being named Nilia, who has 10,000 times more energy than the previous monsters. Captain Zheng Yi scoffs and says it doesn't matter how strong he is because she'll take him down with one shot. The meeting leader says it's not that simple, and that not even the team sent before was a match for him. With that, the assistant opens a briefcase and says the government has developed a new type of detector. This new equipment can detect the energy of monsters and also record their abilities. One of the old men then asks if they were called here just to see the new technology. The leader replies that he knows they are strong, but this will help the weaker hunters. He then says the real reason for the meeting is to discuss how they're going to close the portal. The fan guy says this kind of job is perfect for Zheng Ni since she doesn't think much. Furious at the insult, the captain yells at him to repeat what he said. Suddenly, the entire room starts to shake and everyone goes on high alert. The assistant asks if Shanmu is okay, and he wonders what's happening. One of the old men notices his tea shaking. He then says it seems they have some unwanted guests. Just then, the association's base is hit by the orc the protagonist has been chasing. The association's guards are alerted to go on high alert. Group of guards spots something in the smoke. They then receive the order to attack and start firing at the target. But the bullets have no effect on the orc. And in the blink of an eye, the orc rushes past the soldiers, taking them all down at once. After defeating everyone, he holds up a strange nuclear-looking object. He holds the strange radioactive object. The orc says that with the energy from this cylinder, he'll finally be able to recover. But suddenly, an orange light appears in the sky, catching the soldiers' attention. One of the soldiers points to the light and tells his comrades to look. The golden beam is the protagonist, his friend, and his sister descending on the floating city. The soldiers wonder if they should shoot at them. The soldiers' leader says it's an emergency and that no one can get close. Our hero realizes they're about to be targeted. The blonde guy doesn't understand why he's being attacked. While dodging bullets, he complains that they're supposed to be allies. Our protagonist says the distance is enough for what he wants to do. He then suddenly grabs his sister by the arm. Our hero then steps on the blonde guy's face to get a boost. The protagonist throws her towards the ground while he climbs higher. The blonde guy falls right into the middle of the soldiers. The soldiers wait for the dust to settle. Blonde guy surrenders, saying he is the C-rank hunter named Wang Li. With the distraction set, our hero lands safely with his sister. Touchdown. The girl with horns says she wants to stay with him, and the protagonist agrees. The two siblings then head inside the base. Arriving there, he's surprised by what he sees. The orc he was chasing was already there, opening the radioactive item. He says the protagonist saved him the trouble of looking for him. The protagonist's sister warns him that the orca's strength has increased. Our hero then faces the monster, who has already launched an attack at him. The orc yells that he's going to finish him. The powerful blow kicks up a cloud of smoke. The protagonist yells for his sister not to get any closer. Our hero managed to defend himself at the last second. The protagonist taunts the monster. The taunt works, making the orc furious. The protagonist spends 500 energy points to dodge the attack. However, his demonic arm can't handle the strain and starts to fail. The orc takes advantage of the opening and attacks again. Our boy defends against the punch once more. But the orc doesn't give up and starts throwing a barrage of simultaneous punches at the protagonist. The protagonist is thrown against the wall, severely injured. The creature approaches and asks why he keeps resisting. Our protagonist smiles and says he wasn't resisting. He then reveals that he was stalling for the arrival of the S-rank hunters. Suddenly, a mysterious voice yells for them to stop. Rings of green energy hit the orcs. Slam him hard against the wall. The monster wonders who managed to hurt him just with their voice. The boy sonic wave more. The 15th strongest hunter appears. With him, more S-rank hunters arrive to help in the battle. One of the hunters says not to waste time talking, and that all invaders must be eliminated. Our protagonist understands that he stirred up a hornet's nest of S-rank hunters. The orc is furious for being tricked, and our protagonist says he's the one who came here. Someone calls the protagonist Master. Our hero then sees his blonde friend surrendered and being taken away by the soldiers. Wang Li warns him to be careful with the S-rank hunters. The protagonist replies that he noticed, as they don't seem easy to deal with. The masked hunter approaches our boy. He then brushes past the protagonist, pushing him disdainfully. Another S-rank hunter warns the protagonist to get out of the way. His sister says the hunters are looking down on him, but he replies that S-rank hunters are just arrogant. He says he's met a few S-rank hunters before and knows what they're like. All the S-rank hunters get into position to fight the orcs. The monster is furious at the arrival of so many enemies. He realizes their energy is much greater than that of the soldiers he faced earlier. The orc decides to retreat since he can't fight all of them at once. The masked hunter steps forward and says he won't let him escape. With that, the masked hunter charges at the monster. He prepares a powerful uppercut. He then lands a massive uppercut on the orc's chin. The impact of the blow is so strong that the city's ceiling cracks. Even the buildings outside where they were are split by the shockwave. The hunter with the fan says he'll help too. With a talisman, he casts a lightning spell on the orcs. The monster is hit by several lightning bolts but manages to dodge. Until one of the bolts hits him. The creature notices its reflexes have slowed down. Scared. Then a powerful bolt of lightning strikes the orc. The protagonist's assistant asks if the orc was defeated with that attack. The fan-wielding mage scoffs, saying that level 5 monsters are weak. But the bald man warns him that the creature has not yet been defeated. Even after being hit by the combined attacks, the orc tries to fight back against the hunters. He says he won't be defeated by worms. Lands a punch on the bald man. Then he hits the fan-wielding mage. Our protagonist thinks that the decision not to fight was the right one. The orc then defeats the soldiers who try to stop him. He's almost managed to escape. He then notices there's only one soldier left. The assistant warns the protagonist to attack and not to lose the orc's energy. Then a woman in high heels appears and complains about how long it's taking to defeat the orc. She fires her sawed-off shotgun at the monster, and the shot hits the orc square in the chest. The red-haired woman blows the smoke from the barrel of her gun. She then says the other hunters are tarnishing the reputation of S-ranks. The protagonist's assistant informs him that the woman who arrived is an acquaintance of his. Haired hunter is surprised to recognize the protagonist. She then glares at him angrily and yells that she didn't expect to find him here. Our protagonist thinks this is going to be a huge problem for him. With a confident smile, the red-haired hunter approaches the protagonist. She says she didn't expect to find our hero in a place like this. The fan mage and the bald man wonder where this woman knows such a weak hunter from. The redhead then lands a kick to the orc's face. The protagonist is surprised by her action. Quickly touches the protagonist's chest. The woman then hugs our boy, happy to see him. Our boy's blonde friend has no idea what's going on. The hunter asks if he's there to accept her proposal. But our protagonist's sister gets jealous and interrupts their hug. The red-haired hunter comments that it's been a while since she's seen him and that he's even gotten a girlfriend. The sister asks our hero who this woman is, and he replies that she's a friend from a mission. Haired hunter says he looks smaller and asks what happened. The three of them are chatting while the orc is down on the ground. The monster gets up and says he hasn't been defeated yet. Our hero's assistant tells him not to waste time, as the orc is about to escape. Taking advantage of everyone's distraction, the monster tries to flee. Everyone notices the creature's escape. But then the shadow of a hand falls over the orc's head. At that moment, the Captain America, like Hunter, grabs the monster by the head. He says the invader must be eliminated. The orc tries to break free but can't. He then throws a punch at the Captain America look-alike. But the man manages to catch the blow with just one hand. He then says the orc is the one who's going down. He then twists the orc's arm. All of the orc's bones are broken, making him scream in pain and lose his arm. Even without one of his arms, he attacks with the other hand. But Captain America manages to block the orca's blow with the orc's own severed arm. Then a bit of red liquid splashes onto the captain's face. The bald man says this is going to be a problem and that the orc is in for it now. The red-haired hunter asks why Captain America suddenly got so weird. The captain then dodges the blow. Captain America says he's going to eliminate the orcs. The protagonist's sister gets scared as Captain America says this is unforgivable. Our hero's assistant warns him that if he doesn't go now, the captain will take the orc's energy. That the protagonist prepares to move in and take the orc's energy. But the red-haired hunter holds our hero back. She then asks if he's crazy and wants to get himself offed. Our hero says that if he doesn't go, the result will be the same. So anyway, the protagonist's assistant says he can't fail now. With that, the protagonist decides to use his 1,000 times stronger ability. Using incredible speed, he charges into the battle. Captain America lands powerful blows on the orcs. But then the protagonist gets closer, and the captain notices. Our protagonist appears with his flaming blade, and with only 470 energy, he grits his teeth, ready to finish the orcs. And in the blink of an eye, the protagonist slices through the orcs. The orc then falls to the ground, its body sliced in two. Captain America is shocked because the protagonist stole his kill. Our hero and his assistant celebrate their victory, and the orc's energy. Our protagonist feels the orc's energy coursing through his body. His sister warns him that someone is approaching. Captain America then throws a punch at the protagonist. The powerful punch causes a loud bang and creates a crater in the ground. The hunters are astonished by Captain America's power. The protagonist's sister tries to help, but the red-haired hunter stops her. The redhead says he won't be defeated that easily. But Captain America realizes the protagonist isn't there. He turns and is surprised that our boy managed to dodge. The protagonist then leaps out of the rubble. He and his assistant celebrate the full absorption of the orc's energy. The red-haired hunter is impressed by our hero's strength. But the assistant warns that the problem with Captain America isn't over yet. The captain says the protagonist was quick to dodge. And then he prepares a new attack against the protagonist. Etches a blast of energy at the protagonist. The protagonist then dodges the attack at the last second. Captain America takes advantage of the protagonist dodging the energy attack and charges in with a physical blow. But our boy dodges all of the man's physical attacks. The protagonist keeps backing away while being attacked. Our hero's body is all banged up, and he says he can't take much more. Captain America gets closer and notices the protagonist's body is extremely hot. Captain America then throws another straight punch. Suddenly, talismans bind the protagonist's leg. Our boy is surprised as he didn't expect that. Then Captain America prepares an elbow strike on the protagonist. Like a hammer, Captain America lands the blow on the protagonist. The powerful strike causes a shockwave around them. Everyone is surprised that the protagonist is able to fight against Captain America. Even with the blow, the protagonist doesn't fall, and steam starts rising from his body. His assistant warns that if she hadn't tipped him off, he would have already been defeated. The captain approaches, and the protagonist asks if he is the hunter named Steve. With his body on fire, he challenges the captain to another head-on fight. The captain is surprised and wonders if this is really the strength of a D-rank hunter. Two stare each other down, releasing their auras. But then someone interrupts the fight. Shamu appears and says he saw everything that happened. Shamu then breaks up the fight and says there's no need for this. With that, he praises our protagonist, saying he's quite strong. He then invites our hero to work for the government. At the scene of the fight, a guy in a weird hat eyes our hero suspiciously and asks how they can possibly trust him. Meanwhile, the director glares at the captain and tells him he's got to handle this mess. The captain turns and says he only follows orders from the unified government. Suddenly, an agent introduces himself to our boy, saying he's the one in charge of the Hunters Association. Introduces himself as Lee Fan, a D-rank hunter. Thrilled, the head of the association grabs the MC's hand and starts shaking it like there's no tomorrow. The agent is floored by the strength of a D-ranker and wonders if the association totally messed up his evaluation. With his bizarre arm, our hero yanks his hand back, leaving the agent wondering about his real abilities. Just then, the pirate lady shows up and tells the agent to stop beating around the bush and get to the point. She then throws her arms around our guy and suggests he be promoted to S-rank hunter. Lee replies that getting an S-rank evaluation isn't quite that simple. He then proposes that if our hero completes a certain mission, they might be able to make an exception. The pirate lady gets suspicious and asks what kind of super important mission this could be. The agent then pulls out a small projector and presses a button to show them the objective. The device projects a bizarre image of the previous portal, and he says the mission is to destroy that thing. The pirate lady is furious, saying that not even S-rank hunters can handle that thing alone. Meanwhile, the guy in the hat smirks and remarks on what a pathetic little hunter he is. The agent tells her to calm down, explaining that our boy won't be going on this mission by himself. He points to the other hunters and says they'll be participating as well. The man explains that A and B rank hunters will also be sent in as backup. Our protagonist says he'll think about the mission, but he needs something more than just the S rank title. With a confident smile, Lee Fan says that all captured monsters must be handed over to him. The hunters are completely stunned by our hero's demand. The association director's secretary yells that he'd be stealing all the credit from everyone else. The man in the hat comments that the MC has a big mouth for his supposed power level. To everyone's surprise, the agent accepts our boy's condition. Everyone is gobsmacked by the association chief's decision. The agent explains that he'll pay the other hunters rewards out of the association's own funds. He then stares down our protagonist and says these rewards won't come for free. With a serious look, he reveals that our hero will have to handle the most dangerous part of the mission. With a handshake, our hero seals the deal with the agent. With a confident smirk, Li Fan says he accepts the mission. The agent asks if he's sure, since he hasn't even mentioned how dangerous the mission is. But our boy replies that the greater the risk, the greater the reward. At that, the agent pulls his hand away from their firm handshake and says he'll explain the plan. Meanwhile, the assistant teases our hero, telling him to scream if it hurts, as he subtly tries to shake off the pain from the handshake. The mission for the 2S rank hunters is to draw the monster's attention. With the distraction created, our hero must approach the portal with that briefcase. Our MC is shocked and wonders what's inside the case. The agent then opens the briefcase, revealing a nuclear energy bomb. The chief explains that the bomb was made with compressed energy and is powerful enough to wipe out half the city. He continues, saying that if the bomb is detonated near the portal, it could destroy it once and for all. With a smirk, the agent tosses the bomb to Li Fan and asks if he still wants the mission. Our boy catches the bomb firmly and says he's not the type to back down halfway through. His assistant remarks that our hero just wants to use the Hunters Association to get his hands on more monsters. Our protagonist doesn't care about the accusation and says he doesn't trust the association agent anyway. Then, Li Fan points out that he doesn't have the ability to fly, so he can't get the bomb to the portal. The agent says that's not a problem, because he already said he'd send help for this mission. Radio in hand, the agent tells his assistant to bring in the aerial combat specialist. He then speaks into the radio, calling the hunter by his strange name. Suddenly, a grunt is heard from the doorway. Next thing you know, a huge bird with colorful feathers comes flying out of the door at high speed. The creature then stops right in front of our hero. Our boy is taken aback by the bird's sudden appearance. The bizarre being transforms into a bird man and says his name is Delui. The agent laughs and says he doesn't get the bird, man's weird abilities, but he knows he can transform. He introduces him to our protagonist and says that with Delui's help, getting to the portal will be no problem. The bird man asks for the bomb, telling our boy he doesn't look too comfortable holding it. Suddenly, the winged hunter's determination to complete the mission practically blossoms before their eyes. So the protagonist hands the bomb over to him. Our hero wonders if this hunter is some kind of animecaps. With that, the agent orders the S-rank hunters to distract the monsters. The hat guy warns our protagonist to be careful when planting the bomb. Our boy calls out to the winged hunter, telling him it's time to go. Suddenly, the protagonist's sister grabs him and says she wants to go too. Our protagonist replies that he can't take her because the bomb planting mission is too dangerous. She insists, saying she doesn't want to be separated from him again. But our boy ends up giving in, telling her to stay close to him. All of a sudden, the pirate lady pulls him aside and says she wants to go too. Without a word, Li Fan just ignores her and walks away with his sister. But before she can go after him, the director puts a hand on the pirate lady's shoulder and tells her that her mission is to protect the city. She yells for Li Fan to wait, but he just ignores her and keeps moving. The door, our hero comes face to face with an old man. The two bump into each other. Li Fan apologizes and says he's in a hurry, but the old man stops him and asks our protagonist to wait a moment. Or that's what he wants. The elder says he's an expert in fortune, telling and offers to read the protagonist's fortune. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, the monsters start to get restless. Or bursts next to the alien. He comments that without the other monsters' help, the portal will take longer to activate. With that, several bizarre monsters start pouring out of the portal. The alien decides he'll have to speed up the portal's opening process. Then, tentacles begin to emerge from within the portal. The tentacles slam into the ground with force. They release a green energy. The alien monster then orders the portal to open faster. Meanwhile, Li Fan's young disciple shouts that he wants to go with his master too. Li Fan says he doesn't have money to pay for a fortune, but the old man doesn't care about that. The elder says he just wants to help because of the great evil energy our boy is emanating. Not paying much attention, our hero tells him he can do whatever he wants. With that permission, the old guy grabs our protagonist's face with force. He begins to recite a strange incantation while squeezing Li Fan's cheeks. Suddenly, a strange piece of paper falls from the elder's sleeve. As he holds the protagonist, the paper flutters by. Our hero is surprised to see the paper, which says he has supreme luck. The old man says he was mistaken and that Li Fan will have a smooth and trouble-free journey. Our protagonist thanks him and wonders if everyone in the association is this strong. Li Fan then says the mission is important and they need to move fast. Meanwhile, Dumbledore asks if the fortune teller should have done that. The elder replies that it was fate that brought them together in that moment. The wizard then questions the seer, saying his predictions have never been right, not even once. The old man gets embarrassed and says that this time he's sure he's not wrong. Our hero passes the responsibility to the winged hunter, Delui. Man transforms and says they must go. With our protagonist and his sister on his back, the winged bird flies at high speed. Fly Li gets annoyed and says that's not his name. Our boy asks if the ability to transform into an animal was acquired by killing monsters. The Birdman replies that his powers didn't come from monsters. He explains that there have always been strange people in this world, but they used to hide. The winged hunter says he is a guardian of the forest, and therefore not a half-beast. He says that with the two of them on his back, he can't fight, and they'll need to take care of the monsters. As they approach the portal, our hero is stunned by the number of creatures. Countless flying and ground-based monsters. The alien is surprised and wonders who the fools are that dare to approach. With a gesture, he orders his monsters to attack the invaders without mercy. Our protagonist warns that they're coming. Li Fan prepares for battle and tells his sister to be careful. Li Fan yells for his sister Elisa to watch out for the approaching monsters. She's a little confused by the warning, but agrees to protect herself. With his little pet ready for a fight, our hero says the real fun is about to begin. Our protagonist leaps from the bird and attacks the monsters. Several other creatures charge towards our boy. He decides he can't waste energy on these weaker monsters. With a single sword strike, our hero eliminates several enemies at once. The little assistant complains that he needs to kill faster because she's still hungry. One of the creatures zips past the protagonist at high speed. Li Fan turns to see that one of the monsters got past him and is heading straight for Delui. Monster gets close to Elisa, but to everyone's surprise, Elisa bites the creature's face. Our hero quickly gets back on top of Delui. He lands on the bird and comments that these weak monsters are no problem for her, as she's already devoured the entire creature. But our protagonist senses that something bigger is coming. The horde of monsters continues to pour out of the portal in massive numbers. Then they feel Delui start to tremble. Li Fan is shocked by what's happening. Suddenly, something enormous rises from the ground. A giant hand emerges from the smoke, trying to grab Delui and the protagonist. With his visor, Delui realizes the monster is level 3. He warns that this creature is very different from the monsters they've faced before. Our hero yells at the winged hunter that now is not the time to be checking the thing's level. The bird barely dodges the giant hand's punch. Li Fan and Elisa hold on tight, and he warns that there are more enemies coming from above. Several flying monsters appear, surrounding the three of them from all sides. They're now cornered. Our protagonist gets ready to fight, saying there's no way to conserve energy now. He comments that they aren't alone in this fight. Just then, help finally arrives as the guy with the weird hat shows up with a piece of paper. The paper transforms into a warrior raccoon. The creature starts slicing through several monsters with its rapid attacks. The raccoon then uses its weapon to create a whirlwind, wiping them all out at once. Our boy's amazed by the power of that raccoon. Meanwhile, Little Sound Wave Kid comments that our hero isn't all that great. With a smirk, the hat guy says that if he were the protagonist, he'd be looking down at his feet, because he'd be more worried about his own safety. Our protagonist looks down and sees the giant hand approaching rapidly. The hand reveals itself to be part of a huge creature, ready to crush the protagonist. The giant hand smashes Delui along with our protagonist and Elisa. The hat guy wonders if they really went down that easily. Suddenly, a bright light shines from within the monster's hand. Li Fan's sister grows worried about what's happening. From inside the hand, Li Fan unleashes a golden energy. He increases his strength by 200 billion times and says that size doesn't matter. Yells at the hat guy to stop messing around and help them already. The hat guy tells the sound kid to go help. The little DJ then appears with his turntable set. He presses a button and prepares his sonic attack. A powerful sound wave, he takes out several monsters at once. The sound stuns the giant monster, which screams from the sonic blast. Then our boy lands back on Delui's back. Li Fan thanks him for the help, and Delui replies that his mission is to get him there safely. The little DJ tells them to hurry up and not get distracted again. He says he'll give them a little extra boost. A purple sonic wave propels the bird forward. With the push from the sound, they fly at incredible speed. The little DJ tells the hat guy to keep luring more monsters. Meanwhile, the two of them continue to fight against the horde of creatures. The alien monster notices that there are two strong humans fighting. But then our boy arrives and yells that he's wrong, then lands heavily on the ground. Our boy then comments that there are more than two strong humans around here. The alien is surprised to see our boy is still alive. But the symbol on our protagonist's chest shows a different, much higher number. And in the blink of an eye, our protagonist appears behind the alien, ready to strike with his flame blade. The alien notices the protagonist's attack. The two begin an intense clash of strength. Li Fan comments that the alien can't abandon the portal, or it will stop bringing in more monsters. The protagonist says he won't let what happened before slide. Protagonist attacks, creating several energy stakes. The alien creature gets nervous as the attack approaches, and he has a flashback. We see a massive explosion of power. Some monsters watch the fight and comment that it's been a while since they've seen something so cool. Two creatures yell for them to be careful, but the other one doesn't understand what's happening. Suddenly, a purple beam defeats all the monsters at once. A red demon mocks the creatures and says he learned a new trick. The purple creature yells at the demon to shut up and attacks him. The alien swears he will get revenge for the humiliation he endured. The attack hits the demon head-on, who just scoffs at how weak it was. The demon creates a ball of energy and says he's going to show the difference between a genius and trash. The red demon charges a purple energy at the tip of his finger, ready to attack. He fires a massive beam towards our hero to finish him off. The attack is so powerful that the winged monster wonders what kind of ability that is. Our protagonist is hit dead on by the purple energy and a huge explosion occurs. The red demon smiles and says the alien is too weak to seek revenge. But then the alien gets up again. The alien says the demon is right about one thing. He shouts that he will erase the demon along with the memories of past humiliation. But the demon simply steps on the alien's head. Then the alien unleashes several tentacles from his back as a surprise attack. The tentacles hit all the surrounding monsters. The creatures scream that their energy is being sucked out by the alien. He uses the tentacles to drain everyone's energy. The alien yells that now he is no longer weak and his power is increasing. The red demon is surprised and wonders how that piece of trash can manipulate so much energy. The alien points at the demon and says that now the demon is the weaker one. But the red demon tells him to stop pretending. Suddenly, a strange being appears and tells the two to stop fighting. The demon is surprised and asks why Master Guman has appeared. Guman tells him to shut up and says he saw everything that happened. He wonders where the alien got such a powerful technique. Guman says their energy is close to level 6 and suggests a competition. He shows them 2 planets and says each of them can have one. Whoever drains all the energy from their planet first will be the winner and level up. Back in reality, the alien is determined to win and shouts that he is the strongest. He says he won't lose to anyone else as he repels the protagonist's attack. Then his tentacles start coming out again. They quickly shoot towards the horde of monsters above them. Protagonist is surprised. Our hero realizes the alien is absorbing the monster's energy. The alien says it seems he can no longer maintain his limited state. He thinks that he didn't expect to run into so much trouble on such a small planet. He comments that the number of monsters is low. He reveals that the technique was meant for another enemy, but he'll have to use it now. Elisa are in shock. At that moment, the alien starts to scream, unleashing his full power. He deactivates 100% of his restraints, transforming into a being of pure energy. All the monsters above are terrified as their energy is drained. Then beams of light pierce through all the monsters at once. Being prepares to show its true power. He then says he'll show them why they call him leader. With that, all the defeated monsters begin to transform. Now they are an army of energy soldiers. The two hunters wonder if all the monsters turned into the same thing, but one of them notices that's not all. The energy of all of them is the same. The sound wave hunter says the alien's power is no joke. But the other hunter doesn't care and says that without the monsters in the way, the mission gets easier. Being raises its hand. He then yells for his army to attack. With the energy, soldiers transform into a shower of attacks. Our protagonist is in shock and can't believe what he's seeing. Deluyi yells for Li Fan to get out of there and not just stand around waiting to be obliterated. The bird transforms into a huge mole-like creature. The alien's attack gets closer. Our protagonist is worried because he has to save Elisa. The assistant says he's crazy for wanting to save that woman. But Li Fan says he has to save her because she's helped him so many times before. Our hero then consumes a ton of energy. With that, he summons several stone walls to defend against the attack. The stone walls begin to be destroyed by the rain of energy. The walls are struggling to hold up against the energy attacks. The alien scoffs and asks if Li Fan is still going to fight to the end. With that, the energy being orders its army to change formation. The soldiers then change their stance. They then fire a massive energy attack. Our protagonist realizes defenses won't hold. The alien shouts for his army to crush the two of them. The protagonist asks if they're going to have to take an attack like that head on. They continue to gather energy. But then Delia, transformed into a kangaroo, leaps up, catching the alien's attention. The alien is surprised by the sudden attack and repositions his army. The army quickly looks at him. The energy soldiers immediately turn and attack the kangaroo. The hunter is hit dead on by several attacks and plummets from the sky. The alien mocks him and tries to grab the bomb. And just as the bomb was about to fall into his hand, something happens before he can steal the energy. After spending more energy, the protagonist steals the energy himself. He places the bomb at the portal. Deluyi jumps away with the bomb. The alien is furious as Li Fan says he forgot about him. With that, the alien becomes enraged and screams for his soldiers to take out Li Fan. The energy army turns. They advance an absurd speed towards our boy. Boy gets stabbed multiple times, even though he manages to dodge some hits. Our hero yells that he needs to get out of there because not even his auto dodge is working. But out of nowhere, Elisa appears and starts to help. Elisa holds the protagonist in her arms, saving him from the soldiers. With that, the assistant says this help was payback for Li Fan's previous actions. Meanwhile, the energy being complains that they're like insects that never go away. He then says he has no time to waste and that the portal cannot be damaged. The alien screams for his army to block the bomb. The fan tells Elise to stay away from him, but he seems to have a plan. He thinks that he needs to finish off the alien right after the bomb explodes. The energy soldiers begin to summon an energy shield. The shields try to block the bomb's explosion. The alien yells that he needs to defend the portal at all costs. Li Fan's assistant says they need to wait for the right moment. The protagonist starts the countdown for his plan. On the other side, the mysterious hunter also gets ready. The countdown finally ends. Timer hits 0, but nothing happens. The enemy's defense falters, completely confused. The energy being is annoyed for being tricked. Our protagonist faces off against the alien, who curses him out. Li Fan asks the hunter why the bomb didn't explode. The hunter tells him not to worry, as the effect will kick in soon. The energy being looks at the portal suspiciously. Suddenly, a beam of purple energy shoots out from the portal. The mysterious hunter says everything is already prepared. And then he uses one of his talismans to control the attack from the portal. The talisman then hits the pillar of energy that emerged from the portal. The purple energy begins to flicker. The mysterious hunter then invokes a great sealing barrier. Li Fan shouts, asking if this was all a trap from the beginning. The hunter reveals that the plan was always to seal the portal, not destroy it. He adds that the bomb mission was just an excuse. He mocks our protagonist and says that low-level hunters are just tools. The hunter tells Li Fan to be sealed along with the monsters. Our hero becomes extremely enraged by this betrayal. The hunter then completes the sealing spell. Fan screams the name of the hunter's association with pure hatred, and he swears they will pay for what they've done. At that moment, the alien comments that cooperating with weaklings is pointless. He is then pierced by several energy lances. The alien says it will take him a lifetime to understand that. Elisa screams in despair for her brother as he's already been completely run through. She unleashes a powerful energy, while crying. She then punches the ground with all her might, sending the energy knights flying. But it was too late, and our protagonist collapses to the ground. Elisa runs to him and says she'll save him no matter what. Our hero comments that even when she's crying, she looks just like his sister. He then wipes the tears from Elise's face as he apologizes. Li Fan's arm falls slowly as he says he promised he wouldn't let her cry. Suddenly, our protagonist finds himself in a dark alley with two people calling his name. He's in that alley while two people look at him. Our hero wonders where he is and what's happening. He realizes he's on Earth again and is completely shocked. Li Fan wonders if he kicked the bucket and is having flashbacks of his past life. His sister Elise asks what he's thinking about, and he says it's nothing. Our hero thinks that at least he gets to see his sister before he really passes on. Elisa scolds him for being rude to her friend and asks if he already knew her. Elise whispers that our boy doesn't have a girlfriend yet. He then runs ahead and calls for the two of them to come eat because he's hungry. The three of them go to a food stall. Afterwards, they watch a movie at the cinema, where our boy's sister cries with emotion. The trio heads to an amusement park to enjoy the rest of the day. Elise's friend offers her house for the two of them to spend the night, since it's getting late. Li Fan thinks that he's satisfied to have so many good memories before he goes. But suddenly, he hears his sister's voice calling for help. He sees Elisa being taken away by a man. Our hero starts running, saying he won't let his sister be kidnapped again. He then asks his system to give him the power to run. His legs begin to transform. With his power, the protagonist leaps onto the van. Li Fan then slices the van in half, dragging one of the kidnappers up with him. Our protagonist thinks that Elise's friend is suspicious after she grabs Elise and starts leaping away. At that moment, our transformed protagonist appears and tells the girl to wait. Li Fan grabs the girl's clothes and asks who she really is. Then the protagonist pulls at her clothes. Our hero is in shock when he realizes she is a system assistant. The assistant says our protagonist finally figured her out. The world around them begins to shatter. Our protagonist asks why she is in his memories. She says the power of darkness has already taken over half of his body. Our hero screams and asks why she betrayed him. She asks if he really thinks he can get everything handed to him on a silver platter. She says everything has a price, and it's time for him to pay his debt as she places a hand on his chin. Furious and squeezes the assistant's hand tightly. Our hero says angrily that he will not be controlled by her. The assistant asks if he's sure he wants to continue with this as she fires something. The object falls to the ground as the assistant says his sister won't be able to hold out. She shows that Elisa is surrounded by the energy army, protecting the protagonist. The assistant says she has one more thing to make our hero happy. She then reveals that Elisa might be Li Fan's real sister. Li Fan shouts furiously that it's impossible for her to be in this world, and that he won't be fooled. The assistant asks if he really thinks they just look alike and says he must have noticed something. She questions him about his past life and if his old world ever really existed. With a smile, the system assistant stares at him. She then asks if he still thinks Elisa can't be his real sister. The assistant offers a power to save everyone, but he'll have to pay a small price. Our hero looks at the dark energy sphere. Meanwhile, Elisa fights bravely against the energy knights. The alien says her fight is useless. The enemy launches a horde of energy knights at Elisa. The girl uses a lot of energy to dodge the multiple attacks. Elisa looks at our protagonist lying on the ground. She says she can't back down anymore. Unleashes a powerful energy blast while suffering greatly. The energy being says it doesn't understand why she's fighting so hard for a human. The enemy says if that's how it is, then they can all be done for together. Then the alien pierces Elisa's stomach with a beam of light. He then launches a shower of attacks to finish her off. The alien says he's finally gotten rid of the two of them, and that he's wasted too much time on this planet, and the teleportation portal is stable. The villain comments that he can't let Brett receive the Master's blessings first. Suddenly, he feels something strange. A great dark energy explodes. Then our boy gets up with a powerful energy. Elisa looks at our hero and notices he's different. Li Fan comments that it's been a while since he's felt so real. The alien wonders why these insects are so stubborn. That he gathers the energy knights for them to attack again. Our protagonist takes the attack straight to the chest without even trying to dodge. Li Fan starts laughing sinisterly even after having his chest pierced. But then from the hole in his chest, enormous teeth emerge. Screaming with a terrifying energy, the protagonist comments that even the pain feels very real. The alien is shocked to see that its attack was swallowed and feels an immense power coming from Li Fan. The enemy says to himself that he is a level 5 terror. He refuses to be pushed around by a simple human and fires a powerful attack. Our hero asks mockingly if he's really a level 5 terror. Then, with his power, the protagonist makes all the knights kneel. Even the alien kneels. The enemy wonders how that is possible. Our hero says he should feel lucky to be in the presence of a true level 5 terror. Li Fan comments that it's interesting to force control over inferior beings. But he says the alien doesn't understand the true essence of energy. The villain says it was just luck and that this time he'll finish off the protagonist. Our boy creates a dark energy sphere in his hand. He says enough is enough and that he'll show him true power as the knights hover above him. The protagonist devours the energy knights with a huge demonic mouth. With a powerful energy, Li Fan creates a mighty energy blade. Dark Aura, our hero raises his hand. Li Fan then attacks the alien with a powerful dark energy. The energy approaches the energy knights. Then with a single blow, our boy cuts through the knights. The surprised alien tries to flee from the approaching attack. He screams desperately for his army to regroup. The knights join together, forming a great wall of shields for the alien to escape. The enemy wonders how our hero used an ability of the level 5 terrors. Our protagonist uses an ability to pull the alien. The villain is confused and doesn't understand what's happening. Li Fan pulls the enemy close to him. The alien screams for his army to regroup and protect him. The knights join together again. Our protagonist says that controlling inferior terrors is no big deal. The hero explains that their energy control is not even close to his level. Our hero says the alien sees its body merely as a container to store power. But for Li Fan, his body is an energy converter. With an evil smile, our boy says there's something more. Our protagonist claims that the energy he can use is limitless. The villain shouts that it's impossible and that not even a level 7 messenger has that kind of power. Li Fan mockingly says that maybe he's stronger than a level 7 terror. The enemy screams for him to shut up and says he won't be fooled. Then the alien starts sucking energy from the other monsters. He envelopes hundreds of monsters. With this, the villain says his army is himself, and he is his army. The enemy fuses with the monsters and becomes a huge creature. The giant creature attacks our hero with a powerful palm strike. Our protagonist, while summoning a small amount of energy, scoffs at the alien's power. Li Fan says he'll help them break free from this suffering. He then makes all the monsters return to their normal form. The alien wonders what that is as it's being swallowed. The protagonist's powerful energy dissolves the enormous creature. The alien desperately escapes at the last second. Our boy says that this is his true appearance. The villain screams furiously and says our hero has no right to look at his real body, a scrawny-looking creature. Li Fan comments that he used his army to look strong, but in reality, he's quite weak. With that, our protagonist places his finger on the alien's forehead. Our hero says the chariot is over. But suddenly, he feels an immense pain in his body. At that moment, the system assistant appears and says that Li Fan's body is too weak. Suddenly, Elise appears and puts a knife to our hero's neck. The girl asks what he did to her brother. The protagonist explains to Elise that he's fine. Wonders why the protagonist likes girls like her. The protagonist's tentacles begin to emerge again. The protagonist says he'll help her reunite with him now. With his tentacles, our hero grabs Elisa, and they begin to absorb Elisa. After absorbing Elisa, our boy has a sadistic look with tears in his eyes. Li Fan retracts his tentacles. With a cry of joy, he says that their revenge will finally be over. After our hero apologizes to Elisa, our boy says he failed to protect the person he loves. Li Fan extends his arm. Arm transforms into a huge red blade. The protagonist attacks the alien. Suddenly, an army of blue knights appears to protect the alien. The knights form a barrier to defend against the attack. It begins to break the shield. With the shield broken, the alien screams in despair that it can't perish in a place like this. Our protagonist hits the alien with the blade. Lie Fan lands and comments that he is the real insect. On the ground, the defeated alien still begins to laugh. The villain says it's a shame to go out without ever having beaten that demon. But then our boy starts to feel something. Our boy starts to scream in pain and the alien is confused. Lie Fan clutches his head, screaming that it's impossible. Inside his mind, our protagonist grabs his assistant. The evil part of our hero continues to writhe in pain. Another part of the hero extends his hand. While holding the assistant, he explains that what was devoured was only a part of his consciousness. He comments that perhaps due to many traumas and memories, he split. His personality fractured into two different parts. That's why his good side was devoured. The system assistant screams that even so, he can't control the body. The other half of our hero says he doesn't know whether to thank her or hate her. He stares at her. Fe says he told her to protect Elisa, but she devoured her instead. She explains that Elisa gave all her energy to him so he could fight back. But because of that, the girl fell into a deep sleep. Our protagonist walks over and tells her not to worry. That even if he has to destroy the world, he will bring Elisa back. The assistant wonders if the girl let herself be devoured on purpose. The assistant is trapped and can't move. The woman thinks that what she did to get rid of him ended up being her own downfall. With a sneer, the assistant says our hero is no match for the alien. Our hero says he should thank her for her help. Then his arm begins to transform. Lie Fan says her explanation about energy helped him a lot, so he transforms completely. Outside the mind, the alien wonders why the human stopped moving. The villain is hesitant, thinking whether to flee or take this chance to eliminate him. The enemy says he can't run away because this is a chance he's waited a long time for. With a cry of rage, the alien says he'd rather be finished than go back to being humiliated, so he attacks the protagonist. The alien lands a powerful blow on Lie Fan, who doesn't defend himself. The enemy is surprised and wonders if he really landed the hit after he stumbles. With a malicious grin, the villain celebrates, saying that form must have used up a lot of the protagonist's energy. The alien then says he needs more energy and summons a large number of monsters again. He then intends to suck the energy from the monsters. Our hero, fallen on the ground, begins to remember how to use the body as a converter. With this, he starts to absorb the surrounding energy and recover from the blow he took. Our boy then finally gets up with a smile, having figured out how to use his body correctly. The system screen opens up for Lie Fan. A wicked grin spreads across his face. Now that Gui Zhan has been sealed away, he can use the system freely, and on top of that, his abilities have gotten a major buff. A new function called Terror Points appeared, and it was at level 1. These points could be used to enhance parts of his body, so he clicks on the function. After using 1 point on his right arm, it starts glowing with a powerful red energy. With this, his arm takes on a monstrous form, brimming with immense power. The system notifies him that his arm has evolved to level 2 and has unlocked a new skill. Lie Fan realizes he can get stronger by collecting and using terror points. To do that, he needs a source for these points, so he glances over at the alien. Lie Fan decides that to build up power, he needs to hunt down and take out some monsters. The little purple fella notices our MC approaching and freezes in shock. Our hero yells that he won't let the alien get away with his plans. The alien quickly summons its army again to defend itself from our protagonist. These guardians launch energy chains that wrap around Lie Fan, trapping him. Fan just grins and says this is the perfect chance to test out his new toy. With his monstrous arm, he unleashes a wave of purple energy. He uses his spatial claw to slash through not only the chains but space itself. Lie Fan then realizes that if the technique can rip through space, he has an idea. He simply vanishes, leaving the little purple monster completely clueless as to where he went. It starts looking around confused. And in the blink of an eye, the MC's claw grabs the purple creature, scaring the daylights out of it. He then lifts it up and asks where all that big talk and courage from before went. With a maniacal grin, he begins to absorb the creature to increase his terror points. As he does, the spectral guardians the monster had summoned start to fall. All the guardians are on their knees, completely drained of power. The purple creature screams in agony and despair as its energy is stolen. It laments failing after trying so hard, and then it starts having a flashback to a voice telling it to give up. It has memories of its rival who used to humiliate it for not having awakened its power yet. But the purple creature would snap back angrily, telling the demon to stay out of its business. Furious, the purple creature declared that one day it would develop a technique and defeat all of them. But the winged demon just scoffed at it, saying the poor thing didn't understand a thing about life. So, the demon decided it would show the creature how things really work. With that, all the monsters surrounded it and began to beat it mercilessly. They all mocked it. In every way imaginable, they tried to break its spirit, carrying out the worst kind of bullying against the small purple alien. Even after taking a severe beating, it didn't give up and kept resisting, filled with hatred. With blood in its mouth, it swore that one day they would all pay for what they had done. From that day on, it began a desperate search for a way to become stronger. Until one day, it finally managed to awaken its power and became the leader of the monsters. Using this new energy, it hunted down and eliminated everyone who had humiliated it in the past. The only one who managed to escape its revenge was that winged demon from before. And now, facing Lin Fan, it feels frustrated to be failing when it was finally one step away from completing its goal. It then says that this is all Lin Fan's fault because he ruined all of its plans. In a tone of pure madness, it screams, asking if our hero wants its energy, declaring it will give him everything. It yells that even if it goes down, it will destroy the planet and unleash all its energy on Lin Fan. The creature then uses its final technique to self-destruct and take everything with it. Our protagonist is in shock, realizing the enemy is going to sacrifice itself. A massive, gigantic explosion of energy erupts. As they were leaving, the man with the fan hunter and his partner notice something is off. His partner, Soundwave, notices that something is happening with the seal. He warns his partner that the seal is in trouble. Suddenly, the blue sphere begins to crack and leak. Then the seal shatters, leaving them completely speechless at what just happened. Meanwhile, Fan Hunter uses a powerful technique with purple energy to protect himself. He creates a protective barrier for himself, but his partner gets blasted away. On the ground, his partner asks what happened and why the seal just exploded out of nowhere. The explosion was so massive that it covered a large part of the city in a dense cloud of smoke. Fan Man is in shock, wondering what kind of attack could possibly break his seal. At the center of the explosion, our protagonist feels the full impact. He then sits up on the ground, cussing out the purple creature. A beaten-up Lin Fan complains that the enemy preferred to blow itself up rather than let him absorb its energy. Then the system warns him that he's on the verge of kicking the bucket and needs to heal. The assistant appears to roast him, saying the system is on autopilot, and he tells her to shut it. The protagonist says he absorbed part of the explosion's energy and is going to use it to recover. But the system shows he only gained a 1 Terra point, which leaves him outraged. His ex-partner explains that his body can only handle 1 point at a time and that he can't absorb energy without limits. With a smirk, she claims that without her help, our hero is nothing but a complete good for nothing. Lin Fan scoffs and claims he gets it, telling her to shut her mouth. He understands that he needs to use the Terra points right away, or they'll be wasted. He then coughs in pain as the system warns him that he's about to check out. Angrily, he complains that the single point he risked his life for can only be used for this. His monstrous claw hits the system's emergency repair button. With a scream, a red light envelopes him, and the system announces that the healing was a success. Fully recovered, he realizes the assistant wasn't lying about the energy. Now with 3 Terra points, he wonders how he can distribute them to get stronger. Suddenly, our protagonist feels someone approaching. The 2 hunters then appear, and Fan Man accuses Lin Fan of breaking his barrier. He points to the portal in the middle of the wreckage, saying that the failure of the seal will cost lives. The hunter is furious because the mission failed, and he lost the reward he was promised. Our protagonist flashes a crazy grin and says it's great to run into them again. Lin Fan charges forward with his monstrous claw, yelling for the enemy to prepare for a world of hurt. Fan Man gets ticked off and asks if he has any idea the size of the mess he's made. But our protagonist's attack clashes with something large and sharp. The talisman summoned a giant samurai that matches our boy's strength. He then leaps back and launches some kind of energy blast at the samurai. Fan Hunter boasts that the samurai is his strongest defense and that Lin Fan can't possibly break it. Then our boy, with a wild grin, says he'll just go around the defense. He's shocked when Lin Fan uses his spatial ability and vanishes. In the blink of an eye, our hero appears right behind the hunter. He then unleashes another strike from his claw against the jobber. With no other options, he summons another creature to protect him from Lin Fan. The summon, which looks like a ninja raccoon, lands a few slashing attacks on the protagonist. Fan Man orders his samurai to finish Lin Fan off. The Shikigami raises its giant sword against Lin Fan. With all its might, it brings down a vertical slash on him. The attack is so powerful it carves a massive crater in the middle of the city. Soundwave suggests they don't eliminate him but capture him and hand him over to headquarters. But an enraged Fan Man says that our hero's life alone can't compensate for what he's lost. The hunter says he's in need of a new Shikigami and will use our hero's body for it. Our protagonist admits he underestimated the hunter, who left no openings for his spatial attack while holding the samurai's blade. He then realizes his level 2 arm won't be enough to defeat him. With that, Lin Fan decides to focus all his Terra points into a single spot to get stronger. Fan Man is shocked, not understanding what that surging purple energy is. Then his arm levels up to 3. His purple energy takes the form of a bizarre face, brimming with power. With his level 3 arm, our hero begins to lift the samurai's blade. The energy is so immense that Lin Fan screams as he overpowers it with his strength. With just one hand, he starts to move the enormous samurai. Huge samurai at the talisman user. Desperate, he uses a wind technique for his ninja raccoon to save him. And at the last second, before he was hit, the raccoon saves his skin. Fan Man can't believe his opponent got so strong out of nowhere. In reality, Lin Fan had quickly transferred the points at the perfect moment to overpower the huge samurai, and at the last second, he evolved his leg to level 3. Right leg takes on a monstrous form and absurd power. He stomps heavily on the ground. And in a flash, with tremendous speed, he appears right in front of the talisman jobber. In a panic, he uses his talismans to summon another technique. And just as the protagonist unleashes a direct blow, he protects himself with the talismans. But the weight of the blow is too strong and sends him flying. The samurai gets up again. And like something out of an action movie, our protagonist rapidly dodges the samurai's slashes, which fly through the air as he uses it for stepping stones. With a smirk, Lin Fan mocks and praises the enemy's flexibility. But his moment of arrogance allowed one of the samurai's attacks to get too close. Lin Fan then decides to shift his points once more, focusing everything on his arm. With his arm at max level, his demonic claw is immense, with such tremendous power that the samurai's attack fizzles out just from its presence. Our hero flashes insane grin. He then attacks the Shikigami with that powerful claw. He doesn't let up, unleashing another blow on the samurai, which can only defend itself. The attack hits the samurai dead on, then the mighty Shikigami falls to its knees. Without wasting a moment, he transfers the points to his left leg. And in the blink of an eye, he appears, stomping on the enormous samurai's head. And with just his left leg, he crushes the samurai's skull. The new technique is a gravity pressure that further crushes what's left of the Shikigami. With a satisfied smirk, our protagonist leaves the enormous samurai behind. He figures out that at level 2 you gain a skill, and at level 3, it gets an upgrade. Our hero then wonders what he'll get when he reaches level 4. With a smile, he decides he'll test his new abilities on the 2 remaining hunters. Meanwhile, Sound Wave says the whole mess is his partner's fault, and he has to fix it. He realizes Fan Man isn't going to handle it and decides he needs to alert headquarters. Fan Man then yells that our hero is arrogant for thinking he's won just by beating one Shikigami. He says he'll show him his true power and summons 4 elemental talismans. The first talisman summons a powerful wind element Shikigami. He summons a forest element swordsman to join the fight. The third is a fire monster. Lastly, he brings back the giant samurai, representing the mountain element. He then challenges Lin Fan to fight all 4 of his Shikigami at once. The hunter admits that controlling all 4 is difficult and that he needs to end the fight quickly before he gets exhausted. He orders all his Shikigami to attack our protagonist. And in the blink of an eye, the wind Shikigami has its blade at Lin Fan's neck. However, at the last second, he manages to dodge the scythe's slash. He then faces the Shikigami, which possesses that incredible speed. However, his distraction with the wind Shikigami is short-lived. The fire Shikigami charges forward with a powerful flaming attack. Lin Fan doesn't flinch and readies his monstrous arm to counter-attack. The 2 powers then collide, creating a powerful clash of strength. He holds back the fire monster but admits the creature is pretty strong. Until he notices another attack coming from his left. The enormous Shikigami unleashes a powerful slash against the protagonist. Then, at the last moment with no other choice, Lin Fan switches targets to defend himself from the samurai. He grabs the enormous fire boar and hurls it at the samurai to defend himself. But it's not over yet. The wind Shikigami leaps in to attack Lin Fan. Lin Fan takes the Shikigami's blow to his stomach, causing some serious damage. He then realizes this isn't working and decides to reset his terror points once again. With that, the system shows that his right arm is back to level 0, but his right leg is now at level 3, so he uses his speed. Suddenly, he senses a new presence and wonders who else has shown up. A mysterious figure in a straw hat appears. Our hero then wonders why the straw hat Shikigami moves so slowly. Then, with a simple movement, that Shikigami makes its single blade look like many, as if it were an illusion. Suddenly, in the blink of an eye, Lin Fan's expression changes to one of total surprise. And by the time he realizes it, his chest has already been pierced by the Shikigami. His arm begins to transform again. He attacks the straw hat Shikigami. He then falls to his knees, trying to recover from the attack he just took. Our boy wonders how the Shikigami are as strong as their summoner. He then gets a crazy idea to turn the tables in his favor. Our hero thinks that if he defeats all 4 Shikigami, he'll gain a ton of terror points. Without wasting time, the mysterious swordsman advances with its strange, slow yet relentless and merciless movement. It then raises its blade against Lin Fan again. He's completely taken by surprise. He knows he can't fall for another illusion, or the fight will be over for him. Then, at the last moment, he sees through the illusion and dodges the Shikigami's attack. However, the other one quickly manages to capture the protagonist with its tail. He is not happy about this at all. Our protagonist struggles to break free. The Shikigami starts dragging the protagonist across the battlefield. The creature then slams our hero with full force against a pole. The pole the Shikigami ties up our protagonist, trapping him there. Fan Man screams with a crazy smile, ordering his Shikigami to finish our hero off together. Trapped, our protagonist knows that if he doesn't do something, this will be his end. So he decides to reset his terror points, focusing everything on his left leg, which goes to level 3. With that, a wave of purple energy explodes from the ground after he stomps on it. And just as the simultaneous attacks were about to hit him, he manages to escape. He then stomps hard and changes his points again, now focusing on his left arm. With his arm strengthened, he faces the wind Shikigami. The creature is in shock that our hero managed to break free. Crazy smile, our boy attacks. Then with his monstrous hand, he grabs the Shikigami by the face. The samurai tries to attack the protagonist, who is battling the wind Shikigami. The enormous blade hits the protagonist along with the wind Shikigami. And as Lin Fan was being thrown to the ground, the fire boar tries to attack the MC. The boar then lands a direct hit with its horns on the protagonist. Still tangled with the wind Shikigami, he falls to the ground. Lin Fan. Our hero sits up and says that's exactly what he was waiting for. The system then informs him that he gained 1 terror point, and our boy celebrates the increase. He gets up and faces what's left of the fire Shikigami that is on top of him. Our protagonist is shocked to see that the monster was created from a human sacrifice. With a mocking smile, he wonders if this is how S-rank hunters operate. Fan Man furiously shouts that the method doesn't matter if you're strong enough. He then realizes that normal attacks won't do the trick and decides to go all out. He says that Lin Fan forced him to do this and releases a red energy into his Shikigami. The red energy begins to merge the 3 remaining Shikigami into a single creature. Our protagonist is completely confused and wonders what the heck is happening. And suddenly he sees that the monsters have fused, creating a new, super powerful samurai. The new fused Shikigami charges forward with a powerful attack against our protagonist. The samurai then launches a green energy slash, but Lin Fan leaps to dodge the attack. Our boy admits that the creature's attack is pretty strong. But he realizes something is wrong and that he's been caught in some kind of trick. Lin Fan understands that the attack's shockwave also carries a powerful illusion. At that moment, the giant Shikigami closes in with an attack while our protagonist fights against the possible illusion. Our protagonist feels the pressure and knows he needs to dodge the blow, but it's proving difficult. And at the last moment, once again he leaps out of the attack's path. But he's still confused and can't sense what's happening around him. Angrily, he decides he'll have to fight with everything he's got to survive. Fan Man then yells for his Shikigami to grab the protagonist. Obeying its master, the creature unleashes the fire boar against Lin Fan. The attack hits our hero dead on, who screams in pain as he's engulfed in flames. The hunter boasts, saying he's already figured out our hero's tricks and his weakness. With a look of victory, he claims our protagonist has no way to counter the attack. Our hero then says that the hunter's deduction was correct. But with a crazed smile, he yells that now he has 4 terror points to use. He distributes the points, evolving his arm and leg to level 2 for the fight. With that, the two exchange powerful blows. He then shifts the points to his leg and uses his gravity pressure ability against the samurai, which has an opening. Then's a powerful stomp on the fully fused samurai. With the samurai down, he refocuses all 4 points onto his right arm. With his arm at level 4, our hero prepares his energy blade for the final blow. He then launches a gigantic purple energy slash at the samurai. The blow destroys everything, and the system informs him that he gained 3 terror points for the victory. Our protagonist is left panting after that powerful attack. He notices the creature dissolves into souls, confirming it was made from sacrifices. With a terrifying look, our boy now prepares for the next step of his plan. A purple aura of power begins to emanate from his body. The system informs him that his arm has passed level 5, and the ability now covers his body. He then leaps towards the talisman user. The talisman man is completely taken by surprise. Now with his body covered in demonic armor, our hero says it's the hunter's turn to suffer. The hunter wonders if he'll have to use his last trick to survive this fight. He then attacks the hunter, but at the same moment, a hand appears to block the protagonist's blow. And just as the strike was about to land, the hand catches Lin Fan's attack. An old man with a white beard appears and stops the attack while staring down the protagonist. The old man then says with a smile that his prediction about the boy was correct. Our hero is completely baffled and wonders who the heck this old guy is. Lin Fan then yells in anger, saying that the Hunter Association has made him lose so much. With a furious roar, he unleashes a wave of purple energy, vowing to finish them all. The old man easily dodges the protagonist's wild attacks. Tired, our protagonist admits that his strength is running out. With that, he decides he'll focus on defeating the talisman jobber. The elder then faces him with a blue aura and says he won't let him do that. The elder then releases a blue energy from his hands. He uses a reversal technique against Lin Fan. In the blink of an eye, the old man grabs our hero, who angrily asks if the geezer really wants to protect the hunter. But Fan Man scoffs at him, asking if he really expected help from the elder. He then thanks the old man and promises to repay him for the favor later. But the hunter is confused when he sees the old man's hand glowing. Without a second thought, the elder fires a powerful attack at the jobber. With a swift blow, he hits Fan Man in the chest. The powerful attack sends the jobber flying. and in the blink of an eye, he is completely defeated. The old man then says he has no interest in saving the hunter's life. He turns to Lin Fan and says he only came to find a way out of that place with him. Our battered hero tells the elder to cut the sweet talk. Filled with rage, Lin Fan screams that all members of the Hunter Association must pay for their actions. He then launches a powerful purple energy attack toward the elder. The elder faces the attack and calmly says that mere words won't convince him. Then a pillar of energy falls from the sky. The other elder reveals himself, staff in hand, and tells Soundwave to stay back. The short guy turns and notices the elder mage. With his staff in hand, the mage begins to invoke a triple magic matrix. A huge blue magic circle forms in the sky. Our hero thinks they plan to surround him, but the white-bearded old man tells him not to be mistaken. He claims he has no intention of fighting as he removes his robe. Then suddenly, like an old-school animaster, the old man becomes super muscular. Our protagonist is shocked by the transformation and realizes the elder is incredibly strong. With a smile, the buff elder asks if our boy is ready for the next round. The old geezer then stumps hard on the air. Our protagonist stares as the old man's blow comes toward him, leaving him utterly shocked. The geezer's punch demonstrates tremendous force, leaving our protagonist completely paralyzed. But he doesn't give up and focuses his strength into his claw again to defend against the elder's attack. The two fists collide, causing a powerful shockwave. But the elder ends up overpowering our protagonist. His blow sends the protagonist crashing to the ground like a meteor. The heavy impact makes the protagonist feel the effects of the attack immediately after being hit. Angrily, our boy decides to use his terror points and focus everything on his right leg. The system informs him that his body has reached level 5 and he can now use 2 terror points. However, it's too late. In the blink of an eye, the elder attacks the protagonist again with incredible speed. The buff master then prepares a powerful attack against the barrier the protagonist raised to defend himself. The elder's powerful blow hits the barrier. The blow is so strong that the barrier is shattered almost instantly upon being hit by the elder. The elder then asks if he can hear him now, but our hero just curses him back while groaning in pain. The master says the association isn't perfect, but it's the planet's last line of defense, and if Lin Fan couldn't beat him, he has no chance against the others. The elder says that since our hero defeated a powerful monster, he could achieve an S rank if he joins the association. The master then extends a hand to our boy and invites him to change the association from the inside with him. But with a look of pure rage, our hero shows he's not the least bit interested. Our protagonist then ignores the outstretched hand and begins to lift himself from the rubble. Meanwhile, the mage and his partner notice a purple portal. Our hero sees the portal and understands that this is his perfect chance to escape. The protagonist then quickly leaps through the air. As he flees through the air, Lin Fan promises that one day he will settle the score with the elder. The old elder wonders if it will truly be impossible to change Lin Fan's destiny. Lin Fan leaps across the buildings, until he can't go on any longer and ends up collapsing in the city. Fallen on the ground, our hero admits that the association is stronger than he thought. With a crazy smile, he decides that for his revenge, he will hunt the hunters themselves and get stronger. The mage comments that more terror has invaded, and the elder agrees that the frequency is beyond what he imagined. But with a serious look, the old master seems to have noticed something more. The master wonders why that teleportation portal has no terror energy. The Winge demon appears. He complains about the energy of the place, and decides he will remove his restrictions. Begins to slowly change. He now looks like a human and mocks the monster Nilia for being defeated in such a useless place. But he admits the planet is strong for defeating a level 5 terror, and that he won't be careless. The villain says that a frontal assault is boring and that he has a better plan to take over the place. With his power, he begins to transform the monsters. With an evil smile, he says he will infiltrate the humans to create more chaos and terror. Lin Fan leaps across a few more buildings to get some distance from the battlefield. Finally finds a safe place. Lands with difficulty in an alley. He then tries to recover, while thinking that since he got the system, this has been his worst situation yet. Remembering the elder's strength, he understands that the Hunter Association cannot be underestimated. He then goes to his ex-partner, and she asks if he thought he could solve everything on his own. Angrily, our hero reaches out and squeezes the strings of his subconscious, causing the system pain. He demands to know how to revive Alicia, and the system says the conditions are quite simple. She explains that he just needs a massive amount of terror points. Thousands of points are required. With this news, our boy returns to reality. Then, with an insane grin, he says that if that's all it takes, then the hunt begins now. He then starts walking through the deserted streets, completely exhausted, until he reaches a place where he hears someone talking. Inside the store, a guy in armor is robbing a civilian. But the armored thief doesn't care and shoves the civilian away forcefully. He says survivors are a waste and should give their resources to the association. The hopeless civilian then decides he's not going to let things end like this. He grabs a shotgun that was under the counter. With a cry of rage, the man shoots at the association hunter. The armored guy is surprised as the bullets are about to hit him. Suddenly, the bullets are sliced in half. Then a jobber with claws that look like Edward Scissorhands' blades appears. Edward Scissorhands attacks the civilian. He lifts the man with his huge Wolverine-like claws. He then throws the civilian to the ground. His partner hurries him, saying they need to follow orders and move on to the next place. But then our protagonist enters the store, completely covered in blood. At the door, our protagonist appears with a crazy smile and asks if they have any bandages. The two look at each other and realize Lin Fan is also a hunter, so they decide it's better to get rid of him. The armored guy tells Lin Fan to find another place because there's nothing left to sell here. Immediately, Lin Fan transforms just his fingers into demonic claws. In the blink of an eye, the hunter is completely and humiliatingly defeated. A part of his body flies past the Scissorhands jobber, leaving him stunned. Our hero then says with a smile that he can't leave without bandages for his wounds. Angrily, the clothed man yells that he's asking to get hurt and lunges at the protagonist. A slash at the protagonist. But Lin Fan easily dodges the blades and summons his demonic hand once more. He then counter-attacks Edward Scissorhands right in the chest. The blow is a direct hit. He doesn't even have time to react as his body is torn apart. Lin Fan quickly extinguishes his demonic energy after calming down. He mocks the enemy, saying that with service this bad, they shouldn't be speaking for the owner. He then complains about not getting any terror points and wonders why the two were so weak. His expression changes. Civilian's body, a small child appears. The crying, completely frustrated little girl kicks the body of the Wolverine-clawed jobber. With tears in her eyes, she yells that those men were the ones responsible for her father's passing. Our protagonist then sits on the floor and says that he was the one who finished them off, and the girl thanks him for it. She then holds out her hand and offers him the bandages he had asked for earlier. The girl explains that since he helped her, he won't have to pay for the bandages. Lin Fan finds the little girl interesting and takes the bandages. Already bandaged up, he tells her not to forget her revenge and to live a good life from now on. The little girl stands there, watching Lin Fan leave. With a look full of determination, she agrees with him. With a smile on his face, Lin Fan thinks about the Hunter Association and its methods. He then decides that if the association can't control its members, he will do it himself. In a secret association lab, we see several scientists working on a very strange project. A guy who looks like a knock-off Captain America from back in the day comments to the director that all the terror portals have been closed without further issues. But a D-rank hunter named Lin Fan managed to escape the mission and even eliminated an ally. The boss is furious at the news and curses the deceased hunter, calling him a complete waste. With a smile, he says it doesn't matter and that the focus now is solely on protecting their floating city. He then claims that once their experiment is complete, the association's fighting power will increase dramatically. Suddenly, the soldier ignores the scientists and advances towards the experiment platform. Without hesitation, the man pulls a giant lever. The man inside the tank screams in pain as his body begins to dissolve. The experiment then finishes, and a capsule fills with the red liquid. The soldier then takes the capsule while observing the remains of the test subject floating in the tank. The captain then applies the strange liquid they just created to his neck, and we can see it causes him tremendous pain. The boss questions him for being so reckless, but he replies that it doesn't matter because his body was made for these tests. The soldier then lets out a deafening scream that echoes throughout the lab. He then tests his tremendous strength, which quickly opens a massive crater in the room. Breathing heavily, the soldier seems quite satisfied. He says his only fear is not being strong enough, and the boss calls him crazy. The boss then warns him not to mess with the scientists, as he'll need their help. He explains that the experiment is in its final phase, but needs more resources to continue. With a serious look, the soldier understands perfectly what needs to be done now. We then see the bar and restaurant of Night Watch receives an order to bring all resources to the floating city. A man in golden armor says that times have changed, but she questions the new order she's received. The knight explains that the association will focus on protecting the big shots in the floating city, but she refuses to obey and says she's not leaving her bar. With a defiant look, she states that she will not hand anything over to the Hunter Association. The knight then warns her not to regret it later and leaves. Wang Lai then questions her decision, as he thinks hunters should protect the people, not become bodyguards. Nightwatch says that's just a silly wish he has in his head. She explains that the association is just a company of mercenaries that will always protect the wealthiest. She says the bar is her home and that she'd rather fight to the end there than protect some big shots. Wang Lei then turns to leave and Nightwatch asks where he's going in such a hurry. With a serious look, he says that even if the association abandons the people, he will help everyone. Nightwatch says he's young and arrogant, but decides to let him go do what he wants. She comments that in these times of chaos, he needs to understand the truth of the world. Outside, Wang Lei sees the association soldiers robbing civilians without any mercy. Angrily, his eyes glow with electrical energy, completely frustrated by what he's seeing. He then charges with full force toward one of them. With an electric punch, he hits the soldier square in the face. He kicks another soldier. They recognize him as the C-rank hunter Wang Lei and decide to shoot to take him down. Wang Lei notices he's being targeted. With his speed, he dodges the volley of energy shots. He becomes even angrier when he sees that civilians were caught in the crossfire. Then, with a furious roar, he unleashes an electric wave that takes out all the soldiers. Wang Lei yells for the civilians to run while he distracts the soldiers. Suddenly, a giant brute appears and wonders why a C rank is there. The giant questions the blonde's rebellion, but he replies that he will not join this association. Wang Lei yells for the big guy to release the hostage and lunges for a quick attack. But the giant easily defends against Wang Lei's kick. Yelling that he would pay for his arrogance, the brute lands a powerful blow on Wang Lei. The giant says he received orders to bring back anyone who disobeys, even if it's just their body. His arm then turns into a strange mass, and he says he'll drag Wang Lei's body back. Fallen on the ground, Wang Lei laments not being as strong as his master was. Out of nowhere, the giant feels a cut on his neck. In the blink of an eye, his head goes flying, and Wang Lei is shocked. With a mocking smile, the red-winged demon man appears. The demon says you can't achieve justice by being a good boy, and Wang Lei asks who he is. With a sadistic glint in his eye, our hero charges the brute, who lets out a scream as he gets a new hole punched through his chest. Surrounded by fallen bodies, our protagonist rises victorious in the middle of the battlefield. A smirk plays on his lips as he says he finally managed to get one dread point after taking down so many hunters. Glancing up at the sky, he wonders what the heck the Hunters Association wants with him to send this many guys. Meanwhile, several drones launch from the floating city and confirm our hero's position. Seeing the drones, he just grins and says this is perfect, since his dread points are still way too low. Just like that, the drones have him completely surrounded. Suddenly, his eyes glow red, and he wonders if there's anyone else around who's more of a troublemaker than him. Far away, the demon is talking to Wang Lei, telling him he looks a little lost. He continues, saying he'd be pretty confused too if the organization he served treated him like that. Even as he's being blasted, the demon dude says the kid just needs to think about what he really wants to do. With a sad look, Wang Lei says his goal is to protect the innocent and be their hero. However, one of the soldiers fires a projectile right at Wang Lei. But the demon dude moves in a flash, jumping in front of the attack to protect Wang Lei, who's totally stunned. With a smile, he congratulates the kid on finding his answer. He then summons energy to his fingertips. The demon dude then tells Wang Lei to accept this gift from fate and make his dream a reality. With a shout, he encourages everyone to rise up and fight against the oppression forced upon them. At that, the civilians start acting like zombies, and Wang Lei wonders if everyone's gone nuts. An armored soldier opens fire as a voice commands them to show no mercy and take everyone out. A brute with a chest rug, you could lose a small child, and wonders how these civilians suddenly got so powerful. The bearded man chats with a knight in shining pink armor, who calls him cruel for his orders. But the brute says he's not sharing the credit for crushing this rebellion with anyone. The knight in pink armor just watches him, commenting that he's a rather impatient fellow. The big guy then hurls his spiked shield toward the out-of-control civilians. The weapon slices through several people at once without a second thought. He then lands, creating a crater in the ground, and threatens to finish them all. The demon dude tells Wang Lei that his hesitation led to more civilians getting hurt, and the kid gets ticked off. He offers the power he absorbed earlier to the boy, who reaches out to take it. Creams in agony as intense blue electrical energy surges through his entire body. Now crackling with lightning, Wang Lei dashes toward the brute at high speed, his expression completely changed. The blonde hero slams into the brute's shield with everything he's got, and the impact is massive. Great difficulty, the big guy tries to hold back the attack. But Wang Lei, with his electric power, leaps right over the defense. With his body cloaked in lightning, he unleashes his full power, and his clothes are torn to shreds. He then moves so fast that he creates multiple afterimages, leaving his enemy confused. He starts unleashing a barrage of super-charged electric punches against the shield. Roar of fury, he continues the massive assault, giving the enemy no room to breathe. Right after, he jumps onto the shield and prepares a powerful strike. The attack smashes through the defense and hits the brute square in the chest. Exhausted, the hero Wang Lei stands over the enemy's defeated body. Looking at his hands, he says happily that he managed to protect even more people with his power, but his hands are completely wrecked. The surrounding civilians watch in fear at the powerful aura radiating from Wang Lei. But suddenly, a sword runs through Wang Lei's chest. The knight in pink armor criticizes his former comrade for not even being able to defeat a B-rank enemy. From a distance, the demon dude comments that this is the kid's limit and that it's just not enough. The pink knight glares at the demon dude and asks why he causes chaos instead of just joining the association. With his sword in hand, the noble says he has no choice but to apprehend him. Suddenly, he turns in surprise to see the hero Wang Lei, though gravely wounded, grabbing his leg. Even while bleeding profusely, Wang Lei says through gritted teeth that he hasn't given up the fight yet. He then cries out for more power, and the red being notes that human potential is greater than he thought. The knight in pink armor looks down at Wang Lei with disgust, saying he has absolutely no elegance. Cruel smile, he prepares to deliver the final blow and end Wang Lei's miserable existence. However, at the last second, his attack is stopped by a hand that grips the blade tightly. Surprise, our protagonist appears and Wang Lei calls out Master. Utterly shocked, the knight in pink armor stares at our protagonist with a look of contempt. He then comments that many have rebelled against the association, and he will finish our hero off in a suitably elegant fashion. Li Fan then asks if he's a man-hunter, and the noble confirms it without hesitation. With red eyes and a purple aura, our protagonist appears behind the knight in the blink of an eye. He tries to defend with his sword, but Li Fan's energy blade is far too powerful. With a pained expression, the knight can barely believe our hero's immense strength. The noble in pink armor uses all his might to hold back the blow, but the energy keeps pressing down on him. At that moment, the knight starts breaking into a cold sweat as our hero's blade is about to shatter his defense. In an instant, Li Fan breaks through and cuts the knight down with a single, precise strike. On his knees, Wang Lei is stunned by his master's power, and our protagonist flashes a victorious smile. Wang Lei smiles and says that Li Fan only stepped in because he couldn't stand to see civilians being mistreated. Suddenly, our hero unleashes his terrifying aura and puts his blade to Wang Lei's neck. With a chilling smile, he says not to get him wrong, he only holds a grudge against the Hunters Association. He then asks Wang Lei if he's also with the association. But the demon dude appears and says they shouldn't fight since they know each other, and Wang Lei immediately agrees. Our protagonist then calls Wang Lei an idiot for being tricked, and the kid asks what he means. With a smirk, Li Fan creates a staff of purple energy and says he doesn't accept such a foolish disciple. At that moment, the demon boasts about tricking Wang Lei and asks if our hero is ready to start the party. Without a second thought, Li Fan lunges forward and attacks the red being, who blocks the blow with his trident. Completely shocked, Wang Lei realizes the demon is a monster and questions the power he received. But the red being tells him to relax, as there's nothing wrong with the power he was given. He then explains that the power only provides a temporary strength boost and has no side effects. The electric hunter looks at the civilians and sees that they're all fine, confirming the demon's words. Meanwhile, Li Fan complains that the demon is chatting in the middle of a fight. With a sadistic look, our protagonist asks if he still doesn't get the situation. He then flashes a bizarre grin and screams that obviously, he's gonna totally wreck him right here and now. With that, our hero launches several purple energy blades at the enemy. The attack hits its mark, sending a spray of red liquid flying. Even after being hit, the red being compliments our hero, saying he has the necessary qualifications. The demon then transforms into a giant goo monster, much to Li Fan's surprise. The demon then reforms into a solid physical form. Soon after, he emerges from the puddle and says he'll introduce himself again, properly this time. He introduces himself as Brett, a level 6 terror, and reveals his goal on Earth. Without beating around the bush, the red being says he wants to take over the planet, and Wang Lei is furious at the revelation. The blonde hero then yells that he'll never let a monster like him get what he wants. But Brett says he won't be like the association, as he has no interest in hurting civilians. The kid looks at the people and the defeated hunters, falling into a thoughtful silence. Seeing this, the demon says that since they are enemies of the hunters, they can consider themselves friends. He then proposes they join forces to end the Hunters Association's reign once and for all. Our protagonist cracks a slight smile, as if he's enjoying the crazy idea. With a handshake, he accepts the proposal, saying he has no reason to refuse the offer. Wang Lei despairs and asks how his master can ally himself with such a terrible monster. In an instant, our hero grabs Wang Lei by the neck. He then lifts him up and tells the kid not forget that he's a hunter too, threatening him. Li Fan then lets Wang Lei go. Brett says he will gather more people to invade the floating city. Our hero watches the demon fly away as black feathers fall from the sky, a sign of his departure. Suddenly, the system appears and asks if he has no shame, letting himself be used by some random monster. But with a smirk on his face, our protagonist doesn't seem to care one bit about the scolding. Seeing his reaction, the system screams in anger and frustration. Our hero then holds her face and says he already told her he doesn't trust anyone, not even demons. With an evil grin, he adds that he trusts in Brett's strength enough to use him as a pawn in his own game. Far away in the floating city, the Hunters Association is preparing for something big. On the buildings of the floating city, we see hundreds of hunters as a voice orders the next one to step forward. The hunters wonder why the association asked them to collect so many supplies. One of the hunters notices that several important bigwigs from the association are also present. A secretary then reports that 96A rank hunters and hundreds from other lower ranks are there. With a confident smile, the leader says that this number of people is more than enough. From atop a stage, he thanks all the hunters for their hard work in gathering supplies. But the hunters don't want to chat. They start demanding the rewards they were promised. He then explains that the rewards will be distributed according to the supplies each one delivered. Soon after, the leader turns and tells his two subordinates that they will be in charge of the experiment. The man and woman leave, leaving the brute and the robot alone. The captain puts on a mask and says they can now begin what they've planned. Meanwhile, the hunters argue about what their reward will be for risking their lives. Suddenly, a cat inside a giant robot pushes a red button and activates a trap. In that same instant, a gigantic wall begins to fall. The trap sprung, a cage drops over the hunters, who are thrown into a total panic. One of the hunters grabs the bars and asks if the association really thinks this will hold them. However, he starts getting electrocuted and screams in pain as his body is completely fried. The cat in the robot then pulls another lever to continue the evil plan. At that moment, a green poisonous gas starts being released inside the cage to everyone's surprise. The hunters panic and wonder if the association has gone completely insane. 2A rank hunters then get angry and say they won't be controlled by cheap tricks. One of them manages to break through the trap, but the captain is waiting outside for anyone who escapes. With a wicked grin, he reveals that the real supplies for the floating city are the hunters themselves. He then attacks the man with the dog-like face, who tries to block the blow, but it's useless. The captain's weapon crushes the hunter's arm, who screams in pain from the severe injury. In an instant, the captain holds the A ranker by his broken arm, as if he were nothing. He throws the dog-faced guy into the other A rank hunter. The two of them fall back inside the cage, terrifying the weaker hunters. From above, the captain tells them to cooperate and accept their final reward. The hunters scream in anger, but the poisonous gas has already weakened everyone, and they have no strength left. To make matters worse, one of the hunters realizes the ceiling is collapsing on top of them. Screams of despair echo throughout the floating city as the trap closes. The captain then asks the robot if this is the best way to increase the process's efficiency after crushing all the hunters. Soon after, a purple substance is poured into the tank where the remains of the hunters are. With a wicked smile, the captain gets excited about the pure energy. All this energy is then processed by a complex machine that refines it even further. Suddenly, a skeletal creature that was crushed is in the tank. The creature appears to be in agony. Then, a jet of red liquid shoots out from the creature's eye. The red liquid then flies through the skies of the floating city. The demon Brett then receives this power and, with a smile, says that now everyone can see the truth. He then shows all the civilians the cruelty of the Hunters Association, which sacrificed its own men. The red being shouts that the hunters are just tools that the association discards when they're no longer needed. With this, he incites the crowd to rebel, saying they too have been abandoned by the association. Fired up by Brett's speech, the crowd revolts, and everyone shouts that they will bring down the Hunters Association. Brett then explains that his power strengthens all who receive his special liquid. He then offers his power to a man in a suit, who agrees to receive the ability. Then Brett grants the power to the man. The man screams in pain as his body begins to transform in a bizarre way. The surrounding civilians are completely shocked. Brett then says this is their chance for revenge, and now they have to make a choice. Brett declares that this is their shot at vengeance, and now it's time for everyone to decide. Without hesitation, the people extend their hands to accept the power the demon offers. With that, everyone shouts with excitement as they feel the immense power flowing through their bodies. Our protagonist just watches with his arms crossed, showing no reaction. Wang Lei then offers the power to his master, but our hero refuses. With a serious look, our guy warns Wang Lei not to absorb that stuff, because the demon can't be trusted. Wang Lei is confused and looks at his master, not understanding the reason for the warning. He then looks at the spheres of power in his hands, lost in thought. With a smile, the red being says that since everyone is ready, he will begin the next phase. The demon then creates a pillar of red energy that shoots up into the heavens. The energy forms into a staircase, and Brett invites everyone to climb with him to the sky. The civilians are shocked and wonder what the red demon's true power level is. Brett takes the first step to ascend the staircase. With that, Brett shouts for everyone to follow him on the path of rebellion against the association. Meanwhile, in the floating city, the association prepares to inject power into its soldiers. A scientist reports that the experiment's success rate is 78%. Suddenly, the pirate woman storms into the lab and furiously yells at those in charge of the project. She then grabs the leader and accuses him of sacrificing hunters to create the energy liquid. Losing her patience, the pirate woman throws him against the wall with force, and the man is startled. She then points her weapon at him and asks if this is how the association treats its allies. The leader says that upon joining the association, everyone must obey orders without complaint. Furious, the pirate says that if that's the case, then she'll finish him off herself right here and now. She fires her weapon with full force, and a huge explosion rocks the lab. However, The leader stops the attack with his bare hands, leaving the pirate completely shocked. He says he was going to increase her power, but now she has lost that great opportunity. With a smile, he reveals that he also used the liquid to become stronger. The woman then summons several weapons and says she'll keep shooting until he can no longer defend himself. The leader, with contempt, says she's very stubborn for not giving up. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appears behind her. And in the blink of an eye, the captain strikes the pirate on the neck. She then collapses to the ground, unconscious. The leader comments that the pirate wasn't the only one who rebelled, but he has already taken care of all the others. We see the bodies of several hunters who tried to fight against the association. He then orders the rebels to be turned into puppets and the loyal ones to receive the energy liquid. But the leader says one thing surprised him quite a bit through all of this. He can't believe that an old master would agree to participate in such a cruel plan. Meanwhile, in the lab, the scientists and soldiers prepare for the next step. Suddenly, one of the robot soldiers runs to inform the leader that they have a big problem. The soldier then reports that a group of crazies is ascending to the floating city. Unconcerned, the leader calls them trash and orders his men to finish them all. Outside, Brett sees the association's troops and wonders if they're finally going to fight back. Without a second thought, the soldiers and the giant robot begin firing at the rebels. The shots hit Brett's followers, who cry out in pain, but the demon doesn't suffer a single scratch. With a wicked smile, Brett says their special bullets don't work on him. He then flies at high speed toward the soldiers, who continue to fire nonstop. With that, Brett attacks with a shower of energy that hits all the soldiers at once. Suddenly, the robot appears and fires a beam of light at the demon, who is surprised. The drone then begins to suck Brett's energy into a special compartment. With a smile, Brett comments that the association had a pretty interesting idea to stop him. The robot starts firing multiple bombs at the hunters. Our protagonist just watches the battle, ignoring it. He then thinks that this distraction will be perfect for him to execute his plan. But as our hero sneaks away, a voice says it's not good to be sneaky. Suddenly, an enemy with a skull mask appears and says he's going to test a potion on him. Our protagonist then turns to face the enemy. With his feet glowing red, Li Fan cracks the ground with the force of his step. He used his ability to dodge the masked man's sword attack. With a wicked smile, our hero says he won't just stand there either, and reveals his new form. Our guy then unleashes his full level 7 power, and his body transforms completely. The enemy says he looks more like a monster, but Li Fan replies that he's no big deal. That the two clash in a purple energy explosion that shakes everything around them. Li Fan then uses his ability to tear through space, creating a dimensional rift with his blade. He shoves his hand into the portal. The masked man is in shock as he sees our hero's bizarre hand emerge from the portal behind him. To defend himself, he creates an energy bird that flies toward our protagonist's hand. But the demonic hand ignores the bird, and they collide. The enemy quickly takes a few steps back. Our protagonist stumps hard on the ground and yells that he won't escape. The masked man is terrified as he feels the crushing pressure. Pinned down by the gravity, the enemy decides to use his most powerful ability. With that, he summons the image of a giant purple energy tiger to attack our hero. The beast then charges toward our protagonist with its claws out. Li Fan is surprised and comments that the ability to materialize illusions is quite impressive. But he says that's not enough and transforms his arm into a blade. The energy tiger then roars and attacks our protagonist with incredible speed. It tries to devour the protagonist. With a confident smile, he prepares to finish off the beast once and for all. The enemy then summons a giant rhinoceros and charges at our guy. Our protagonist ignores the summon and lands a direct hit on the enemy, who screams in pain. With a wicked grin, he wonders how many Drade points an S rank hunter will give him. Suddenly, an energy beam pierces through the protagonist's hand. It turns out new hunters have appeared to join the fight against our hero. Our protagonist isn't even fazed by the arrival of reinforcements and maintains his combat stance. The pirate, with a completely different demeanor, points 2 golden pistols at our hero. The other opponent, a bald man with red eyes, is on the ground but looks ready to fight. He then summons a magic circle that begins to trap the protagonist. The man in the blue tracksuit then leaps to attack our hero, who prepares for combat. With red eyes, the bald man yells and throws a super powerful punch at Li Fan. The attack is so powerful it cracks the ground and creates a gigantic crater on impact. Far away, the leader complains that a bunch of commoners are causing trouble for him. He continues saying that fortunately, the association has loyal allies and they will be rewarded. Meanwhile, the captain dusts off his shoulders. The old master touches the energy cylinder and says there are things he cannot do. He then begins to shatter the energy cylinder. The scientists in the lab are completely shocked. The old master completely destroys the cylinder. He then says with a sad look that he allied with them so he could destroy that dangerous thing. The captain says that destroying one robot isn't enough to ruin the association's plans. He then glares at the old master. The old master then rips off his clothes, revealing his super muscular body. With a determined look, he says he did his best, and now the rest is up to fate. The captain says he thought the old master would be more flexible in this situation. And in the blink of an eye, the captain vanishes from in front of the old master. The old master then blocks the blow. The captain asks if a mortal body can withstand the energy liquid. The captain's blow leaves a deep bruise on the old man's arm. At that moment, the old master's hand begins to glow with intense golden energy. He then uses a martial arts strike on the captain, knocking him away. And with a cry of fury, the master unleashes all his power in a palm strike. His hand glows intensely as a magic circle forms, and he strikes the captain's back. The blow sends the captain flying, and a large explosion of red liquid occurs at the scene. The old man then reveals that he allied with them precisely to be injected with the energy liquid. The veins on his arm bulge, showing the immense power coursing through his body. But the captain gets up, furious, and complains that his new battle suit got all dirty. He then yells for the old man to perish and charges with full force. The captain attacks the master, who defends himself with a magical barrier. With his hands glowing blue, he successfully stops the captain's blow and quickly retaliates with a strike to the abdomen. And once again, he sends the captain flying. Seeing the rebellion, one of the robots orders all soldiers to attack the old master. Suddenly, the old man is surrounded by multiple projectiles. With his hands glowing, the old master prepares to use a powerful technique. He then uses his ability, and the spheres are immobilized in mid-air. With a shout, he launches the spheres, which destroy the robots in a shower of red liquid. Far away, a secretary informs the leader that things in the lab have gotten out of control. She shows him the fight and says the master's rebellion will cause incalculable losses. But with a smile, the leader comments that the old man's efforts are completely futile. The old man's body begins to mutate. The captain explains that the energy liquid now controls the master's body. Seeing his opponent weakened, the captain readies his staff for an attack. He then says that neither of them will be able to escape that place alive. The old master uses all his strength to resist the transformation. Even in pain, he grabs the captain's staff and stops the final blow with his bare hands. With a smile, the old master says he already knew this, and that's why he will fight to the end. Seeing the enemy's determination, the captain takes a few steps back. He then warns that forcing his body like this will only speed up the process. But the old man shouts that he will use the rest of his life to do the right thing. With that, he flies with all his might toward the captain. But the captain thinks he doesn't need to fight, as the old man will fall at any moment. However, the master ignores him and flies in another direction, leaving the captain confused. Suddenly, the captain realizes that the old man's target was never him. With one punch, the master shatters the glass protecting the rest of the energy liquid. His hands are then covered in the purple substance. Lets out a roar of fury. He then punches the ground with all his might, releasing an overwhelming wave of energy. Nearby, our guy is surprised by the immense force he felt coming from the lab. At that moment, our protagonist uses his ability and creates a rift in space. He then enters the dimensional space. Then he begins to emerge behind the old mage. With a smile, our protagonist says he'll take care of the sorcerer first. Li Fan then moves in to attack Dumbledore, who prepares to defend with his staff. The mage then creates a shield of purple energy and blocks our hero's strike. Li Fan backs off and says the mage's reaction speed is impressive for someone being controlled. At moment, the pirate behind him prepares an energy attack aimed at our guy. She fires a blue beam and says Li Fan is slow. The attack goes directly toward the mage. Struck by the energy from the pirate's blast, the mage is left completely stunned. Our hero smiles, realizing the controlled hunters have no coordination whatsoever. He then attacks the mage and tells him to become food for his revenge. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake violently, and our hero wonders what's happening. The floating city starts exploding all over. The gigantic structure begins to fall from the sky. With the floating city in flames, a piece of it begins to plummet toward the ground. On the streets below, civilians panic, screaming that the Association's fortress is falling. Far away, the leader is informed that the city's power room has been destroyed, and he becomes furious. He then realizes that this was the old master's true objective all along. Even while coughing up blood, the old man remains standing. The captain then comments that he sacrificed everything for a lost cause. Master is unfazed. Seeing this, the captain moves in to deliver the final blow and end the old man's life. However, the master concentrates blue energy in his chest. He unleashes all his power. The captain is shocked by the old man's action and asks if he's gone completely insane. The master's energy causes a gigantic explosion that consumes the entire floating city. The shockwave from the explosion violently throws our guy far away. With that, Li Fan uses his power to protect himself from the debris falling from the sky. He then looks at the site of the explosion and sees the old master lying on the ground. With a hole in his chest, the old master asks why they are there and if the association has collapsed. Using his last bit of strength, he says he didn't expect the young man to be the last one to see him. Our protagonist then tells him not to get the wrong idea, as he only fell there by accident. Our guy then taunts the captain, who is also on the ground. The captain praises the old master's courage, even on the brink of passing. He then yells to the other hunters and orders them all to attack our hero. The attacks. The captain complains that the controlled hunters can't even handle one opponent. At that, the mage appears and says he'll have to clean up this whole mess himself. But the big blonde guy grabs him by the shoulder. He then shouts for the mage to give him all his energy, and the old man cries out in pain. From a distance, the leader gets angry and wonders if the brute has gone completely nuts. Covered in a purple aura, the masked man absorbs the mage's power and becomes even stronger. Our protagonist is surprised to see his enemy's bizarre ability. Without a second thought, our hero transforms his arm. Our protagonist blocks the brute's attack with his blade. Seeing this, the other two hunters charge forward to attack our hero. The bald man in the green tracksuit lands a super, powerful punch on the protagonist, who transforms into a spiky shield. At the same time, the pirate fires several energy beams that slam into the defense. With the force of the combined blows, our hero's feet are buried in the ground. Even a disadvantage, our guy uses his ability and creates a rift in space. Disappears in front of his enemies. Lie Fan returns from the rift and notices that the controlled hunters are much stronger than before. The old master then explains that to free them, he needs to destroy a control device. But he laments that he couldn't find the device even after using all his strength. With a cry of pain, the old man coughs up a lot of blood. He then says sadly that in the end, he couldn't stop the association's plans. Our hero then asks if the old man is willing to pay any price to stop the association. The Thou Master answers yes. With a wicked smile, our hero says that if that's the case, he'll handle the situation. Without hesitating, our hero shoves his arm into the old man's chest and says he'll borrow his energy. The captain is completely confused and wonders whose side Lie Fan is on. The old master then screams for him to take his power and stop the association from controlling the world, no matter what it takes. With a terrifying smile, our protagonist says he will grant the old man's wish. At that moment, the old master screams in pain as all his energy is drained by our hero. The captain becomes desperate and yells for his men to stop Lie Fan at all costs. With that, a gigantic explosion of purple energy pushes the enemies away. The big blonde guy can barely withstand the pressure and wonders how he can wield so much power. Our guy says he'll settle the score with them later. He then creates an energy sword and says he's not going to look for the control device. Instead, he says he'll simply destroy the entire floating city at once. With a psycho smile, he screams that he's going to end everything. With that, our guy makes a single cut across the entire city. The energy slash begins to slice through the city. The city is then split in two by the energy cut. From a distance, the leader of the association watches in shock. He furiously wonders how some random kid can possess such terrifying power. Our protagonist looks for his next target. Soon after, he says he's finally found the scumbag he was looking for. Without wasting time, our hero flies toward the leader. He then lands in front of the leader and his subordinates, who are on high alert. The wicked smile, our protagonist says that now it's the leader's turn to go. The blonde man is completely paralyzed with fear in the face of our hero's aura. Desperate, he screams and orders his soldiers to take out our protagonist. The soldiers then fire several blasts of blue energy at Lie Fan, but he dodges the attack and says old tricks don't work on him. Our guy then transforms and creates two giant blades. With a spin, he slices through all the soldiers. The next cut goes toward the leader, causing his secretary to scream for him to watch out. But at the last second, the captain appears and blocks the blow. On the ground, the leader yells at the captain for letting the rebels cause such a mess. Our protagonist then questions the captain about why he acts like the association's dog. The brute says that everything he achieved was thanks to the help he received from the association. With a mocking smile, our hero isn't the least bit convinced by that answer. The captain remembers when he was weak and received power to become stronger. Lie Fan comments that he's a good dog for blindly obeying out of a little gratitude. But the captain says he doesn't fight for gratitude, making our hero a little curious. With a crazy smile, he shouts that he only wants the power the energy liquid provides. He continues, saying our hero would never understand the feeling of getting stronger. At that moment, the controlled bald man appears and tries to attack our protagonist. Without even looking back, our hero transforms his arm. The arm then stretches out and grabs the bald man tightly, trapping him. Even with all his strength, the man can't break free from the crushing grip. The bald man screams in pain as he's crushed by our protagonist's tentacles. With a smile, our hero gets annoyed and says he's going to finish off that scumbag. But the enemy refuses to give up and continues to struggle even while trapped, making our guy squeeze even tighter. Our protagonist comments that his defense is pretty tough, but it won't do him any good. The captain says that's the advantage of the liquid, and our guy calls it trash. The captain says it's a shame and walks toward the energy tank. Seeing this, the leader gets scared and asks what the brute is planning to do. The captain then says that since our hero doesn't want the power, he'll take advantage of it himself. Without a second thought, he rips an energy capsule from the machine to use on himself. With that, the purple liquid begins to flow from the machine directly into his body. He then tells our protagonist to feel the power. he's about to unleash. With a smirk, our hero wonders if his body can handle that much power. But the captain screams that all he ever wanted in life was more and more power. With an insane expression, he says he will finally achieve ultimate power. He continues, saying this strength will allow him to ascend to a new level. The captain transforms into a giant monster and faces our protagonist. He then attacks our protagonist with a powerful strike. With a shout, our guy uses his ability and tears the space around him. The brute unleashes a wave of purple energy that destroys everything. The force of the blow is so great that the entire building begins to break apart. In seconds, the structure collapses completely. Our hero then unleashes his energy blades and prepares for a counter-attack. The two clash in a collision of power that generates sparks everywhere. Our protagonist yells that the fight isn't over yet and maintains his combat stance. He then spins his body and creates a spear. With that, the spear flies at high speed toward the brute with an intense glow. The captain tanks the attack with his body. But the protagonist's energy spear pierces through the captain's defense. With a smile, our guy is satisfied that his attack had an effect. He then lands a brutal cut on the captain's shoulder. Our protagonist is surprised to see the captain still standing with the energy tube. With a cruel smile, the brute extends his hand and tells our hero to give up. At that, the tube continues to inject the purple liquid into the captain's body nonstop. He then grabs our guy's leg and says that all resistance is futile. From a distance, Wong Lei watches the intense fight between his master and the transformed captain. With a worried look, Wong Lei calls out for his master.